the vinyl leader.
Damn, these speakers pick up that bass really well, man. What's up, everybody? Today, it's For the Love of Vinyl collecting strategies for music lovers, so do not go anywhere. I'm back again, second time today. I didn't even turn the lighting off. I just said, all right, we're coming back in like 9 hours, so let's do this. I got the group seeker, Chris, with me. What's up, Chris?
Hold on, my ears are rattling from that that audio. Need a mastering engineer.
That was intense.
Holy smokes. What's up, man? Everything's good.
Good. Yeah, sometimes we got to wake people up, you know. We got to get that rumble going in the intro. What's up, Tokyo Record Style? From Tokyo. Loved it. I guess it's morning over there. Man, I was on in the morning and I was talking in Germany to Soul Disco. It was night for her. Now it's night for us and it's morning for Tokyo Record Style. So yeah, it's an international show today. So today just kind of want to get into, maybe we can glean some strategies out of this. This is really going to be more about, first of all, I know we all collect for different reasons. Many of us collect for multiple reasons. This is really going to I really kind of wanted to emphasize the music piece of it today, the love of vinyl. Like when you have a piece that you just want because you're going to play it all the time, or maybe it's something you grew up with and just something that, you need to nail down in the collection because you just love it and you want to listen to it. So that's kind of what we're going to focus on, not discrediting any other kind of collecting, whether it's being a completionist or whether it's, buying to flip or to invest or to, keep it sealed or whatever. It's just that today we're going to focus on, the love of music. And so just the way we'll kind of get into this, I think, is we'll start with like online stuff and I'll tell some stories. Chris will tell some stories. I got some records to show here and just kind of go through some of my experiences buying records. And we want to hear your guys' experiences too, of course. And we'll just go that route. And I think through this little journey that we're going to take with you for about the next hour or so, I don't know, who knows, maybe we'll learn something, or maybe we'll learn something from you. And we can just, if nothing else, identify with the plight of the modern day record collector. So Cesar in the house. What's up? Shout out, Cesar. I was just watching your chat with Nadine and then I get this notification. So what do I watch now? You have to watch this, Cesar. Go back to Nadine. It's already after the fact. We want you live, baby. We want you live. Thanks for being here, Cesar. So let's jump right in. I think, you mind if I kick this one off, Chris?
No, go for it, man.
Do you have anything you want to add to the, what I was kind of intro or?
No, I think it'll be a good discussion. I think we all collect for different reasons. So it'll be kind of cool to investigate that a little bit. And, I'm sure I'll have a lot of comments to your stories and a lot of examples as well. So I'm good to go.
Yeah. One thing I like talking to you about this is just because I know you and I don't want to say we're very different kinds of collectors, but I think if you took the majority of how we acquire our records, it probably is different. And so I think it's cool to kind of get a well-rounded sort of eclectic mix of stories going here. So let's start with eBay. I think a lot of us are familiar with buying on eBay. You can find some great stuff on there. You've probably returned some great stuff there. It's a mixed bag, right? Because, a lot of, I look at eBay, if this is like my first pro tip, is I kind of look at eBay as an opportunity to kind of maybe get some deals. It's the kind of thing where you can watch something over time. You can kind of see how it does. You can dig into that the rest of the things they have for sale. Let's say you go to the rest of their items and it's like clothing and like baseball cards, or it's like a huge mix. It's not going to be just someone who's exclusive to records, right? So there's certain things to glean from that. And so I kind of take that as, well, maybe if this person's looking to move this record, maybe they would accept an offer or something like that on the one hand. But on the other hand, you're like, maybe this person is not that experienced with grading or identifying a pressing and stuff like that. So that's something I keep in mind as well. So the first record I want to show, I picked up several years ago, and it's the Grateful Dead's debut record. It is a gold label, Warner Brothers. original pressing. And that wasn't in the description. It was poor photographs. Obviously, they have reissued this and they've reissued it with the gold label even. And so with the pictures that I was looking at, I was sort of, well, I mean, it could be a more contemporary reissue, or it could be an original. And I was really looking for an original. So in that case, some of what I was looking for was like wear on the jacket, because I asked for more pictures. And so they sent me more pictures. I said, can you send me the back of the label, more detailed picture of the label and all this stuff? And so I took some more pictures and stuff. Really, what I used to identify this was that the wear on here just seemed vintage. It was just the kind of wear that's typical of older records. Some of the yellowing where the white should be, stuff like that. I was really looking at. So I took a shot on it. I took a chance on it. It was cheap enough where I thought, well, look, I mean, if it's not an OG, it's not the end of the world. Either I can get another one, give this one away or something. And when it arrived, I was stoked. I was like, yes. So it was the kind of listing that I like, which is the kind of listing that a lot of people might avoid because they don't want any trouble. They don't want to mess with it. They don't want to get stuck with something. The pictures were bad. Like, all valid reasons are sometimes reasons that I get interested. Having, a fair amount of experience buying online and buying from eBay and stuff. So that's maybe my first pro tip, is just take a look at those auctions that maybe you would avoid, or maybe, a lot of people would avoid, because then you're going to be one of a very select people that are actually interested. And if you can do some more research, ask some questions, again, sometimes you can wheel and deal a little bit, or just get some better photos. And before you know it, you're picking up a really nice record for, a nice deal, because God knows we spend enough on this stuff that every once in a while we deserve a deal, right? So this was kind of that for me. So, yeah, that's kind of my first eBay tip right there.
Yeah, I don't have a tip, but I have a story. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
For a second. So, I wouldn't have bought this at all, because I would have gone after some OGs here. But let me see if this works. Can you all see my screen?
Yep, I just put it up.
All right, so it wasn't long after this box set came out. It was probably right around when the mono version was really sold out everywhere. I was like, oh, I wonder what the stereo goes for. So I went on eBay and I found somebody who had this in the factory shipping box, with a picture up there, and they had it for like $150. So I was like,
Wow.
this is too good to be true. So I messaged the person, and they had like a decent amount of feedback. I messaged the person and I said, are you sure aren't the CDs? And like, is this a legit situation? He's like, it was a kid, like an adult, but a kid, they were like in college, I think he said. He's like, listen, my girlfriend got me this. She broke up with me. I don't want it. I never wanted it. Like, I'm just looking to get rid of it. So like 150 was a great price. I was like, I'll give you $100 like right now. And he was like, deal. I put the offer in. I couldn't believe it. I put the offer in and he took it. And like 3 days later, he must have sent it like super priority. 3 days later, I like had it at my doorstep, and I like opened it up, and it was factory sealed Beatles stereo reissue box. So that was like the greatest eBay thing I've ever found. And it was one of these things where he didn't even really like have it labeled properly. It was like Beatles stereo was like the title. And I just was like scrolling through, and I just happened to find it. He had listed it like a few hours before. So this is like the greatest thing I've ever found on eBay for the value. I don't even know if I've really even played it that much, because I have the mono box, and like I think I have a few other pressings of stuff that's not in the mono box and stereo. But like for $100, like I couldn't resist it, so I jumped right on it. It's crazy.
That is crazy. I've had stuff like that happen in the past too, not with records, but man, that's a deal of a century. And again, it helps to supplement all that other money that you spend, right?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even realize this was going for that much. I didn't think people were really happy with this box.
Right, the stereo.
Yeah, but it seems like, let me just see.
I mean, just listen to everything after what, Rubber Soul, or I guess from Rubber Soul up.
Yeah, this is I didn't real I'm like, I'm a bit taken back. I'm sorry. I didn't realize this was going for so much. I might have to put this on the marketplace.
There you go.
Anyway, so that was a wild story. That was the best luck I ever had on eBay. Um, Elliot asks a good question. Is it a good deal for 2/3 the rate if you're never going to play it? Well, I thought I was going to play it, but I didn't. I mean, I'm sure I played it out. I just don't think I played it as much. But for, for 100, um, to have it when I want it, I think it's a good deal, especially when the retail was. I think the retail on this box was a little bit more than the mono originally, right? It was 400. So
Yeah.
you can sort of see it on my screen behind the mono box back there.
Nice couple little boxes over there.
Yeah.
Shout out Elliot, thanks. Shout out Mark Lastman. Shout out Jill's Music Corner, Wyoming Dave. Appreciate you guys all being here. So yeah, man, that kind of knocks my original Grateful Dead out of the water.
Sort of. I mean, yours was like a pleasant surprise. Mine was like riding a roller coaster. I was like holding on for dear life until I got it. But the thing is too and like eBay has a lot of negatives as far as taking a chance and some of the rates and stuff if you're a seller, but they have buyer protection. Like it really does protect the buyer almost to a fault. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I would say to a fault in some cases, but as a seller, I've gotten totally screwed, totally scammed.
So I didn't tell you this. I've been posting some stuff for sale, and I sold a second press impulse of Duke Ellington and John Coltrane. It was like a VG.
Mhm.
I got a decent amount for it. So I do this thing when I know we're talking about buying, but I do this thing when I sell. Like I politely, aggressively ask people for feedback. Like, can you please leave feedback? Because it goes a long way. Like if
Right.
you have to get feedback from on all these platforms. So the guy had phenomenal ratings, and he sells some decent stuff. And I messaged him. I said, "Hey, like you got your record." I think I might have sent it because it was such an expensive record. I think I might have sent it like not media mail, but like one step up, just so it got there a little quicker.
Priority or something.
Yeah. It was like a few extra dollars because it was on the East Coast. And I said, "Hey, man, like whatchamacallit, can you leave feedback? Like
Yeah.
it can go a long way." And he didn't respond. He didn't respond. Like 2 days later, he messaged me. He's like, "The record came shattered, and I know it's not your fault." So I was like,
I think I sold a record to that guy.
so I was like, okay. And I packaged it in like an acoustic sounds mailer with like bubble wrap. Like I if you look at my feedback on my selling sites, they're like, "This is the best packaging ever." Like I package it like pro. And I was like, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like you didn't even like it. Just you paid a lot of money for this record. It came shattered. You didn't even say anything to me. You're only telling me to ask for feedback. I never heard from the guy again. I thought it was the strangest thing.
Yeah, I had that too. Same exact situation. And they sent me a picture of the record. The record was busted in half. And I was like, how does that happen? There's no like impact mark where it would have been like crushed or something. You know what I mean? It was just weird. Vinyl Dreamscape, what's up?
One thing I think may have happened is that it didn't arrive damaged, but when his wife saw how much he paid for it, maybe she shattered it.
Yeah, it's that buyer's remorse. So yeah.
Anyway, yeah, eBay's a wild place sometimes.
Well, another eBay tip that I've used, and these were going to be tough to acquire, and I'm a big Bobby Hutcherson guy, and so these two records right here. We got Head On and Cirrus, and so they both have similar covers because I presume these were both photographed on the same day, even though they're two different albums from the same photo session. But so Cirrus and Head On, Bobby Hutcherson. These are pricier records. They haven't been reissued yet, as far as I know. And they probably go for, I don't know, at the time I got these, are probably in the $60, $70 range a pop or something like that. So I'm looking for these, and man, I was just patient. So like, if I wish I had a little ding, like a little graphic on the screen to show, but patience is can be your friend. And so this guy had these records, and I just had them saved or hearted or whatever, for months, and no one was biting. And so at first, I don't even I forget how it went. He might have had one posted, and then he posted the other one. And I'm sitting there like, man, I just got to get both of them. So eventually I just go, dude, I want to buy these records, but I don't want to buy them for that price. Can you bundle them up for me? And I don't remember all the details. We might have went back and forth and stuff, but I got a little bit of a deal on it. Got them both, only had to pay shipping once and all of that stuff. And it was kind of flirting with death because you don't see these that much. And they were the price was decent, but it just wasn't where I wanted to pull the trigger on it. So anyway, he worked with me. We got a little bit of got a little package going and stuff. And I ended up with both of these, man, Head On and Cirrus, two really nice later sort of Bobby Hutcherson records. And that were kind of tough to get. So I probably still wouldn't have these in my collection if it wasn't for that. So I guess the moral to the story is just, sometimes get to know the seller a little bit just from kind of like analyzing their page or their store, see what other kind of stuff they sell, see how much they sell, obviously look at feedback and all that stuff. But sometimes following something for a while, you say, look, this guy's had this for like 3 months at least, because I've been following it for 3 months. So that gives you sometimes a little bit of leverage. Just, hey man, do you want to move these? Because I'm interested. Maybe we could do a bundle. And it worked out in that case. So something else I would recommend. I just think there's so many respectable kind of options for us that sometimes we don't use. You know what I mean? It's like, just have a conversation, just reach out, be friendly, and stuff like that. And oftentimes, people will work with you. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I've been on the other side of it where people have, wanted to work a deal. And if they, as long as everything's respectful and stuff, and, it's not, no one's trying to gouge each other or take advantage of each other, you can work something out on both sides. And I think sellers, at some point, you want to move it, right? You don't want to just sit on it forever. So
one other tip on eBay too is if you're buying multiple items from the same seller, you shouldn't pay right away. You should message them and ask them to combine shipping, because the way eBay is set, if you bought like 3 records from the same person, they would charge you for the shipping each time.
Right.
So essentially they can re-invoice you and knock off the if the seller offers it. Some sellers don't offer it. But that's another way you kind of save some dough on shipping. But usually people are pretty cool about it.
Elliot Cruz said, I never bought used vinyl on eBay. Is it user-friendly? I don't know how to navigate it. Haven't really tried. Well, there's a couple of tips I just showed of buying used stuff. I have at least one other one I think I have here. I might have put it out of order, but I might get to another one later. But yeah, I mean, I think it's user friendly, and Chris said it. I mean, anytime you're protected and you can just return it, I mean, that's a huge factor for me. It's like I feel at least safe that you're not going to get stuck with something if somebody tries to scam you. And yeah, I've had, look, I've had to return stuff too. I bought some records. I've had these stories where I've been trying to get one record. Here's a kind of a silly one, but I was trying to get a first press of Thriller, the one that doesn't credit MJ as a producer on the back of it, the very first pressing and everything. And I just kept getting, someone would send me a record and it would be the wrong record that, and I had to send it back. One time it sends it and it's in terrible condition. And the guy was super like, you have to prove it and all. I took a video of it and sent it to him. I'm like, look, it has a repeating tick on it. Like it's scratched. I took photos of it, the whole thing. It took weeks and I had to send it back to him, and then he didn't refund me right away and all of this stuff. So sometimes it can be a pain. But a lot of that stuff's going to happen if you're buying online. If you're buying from Discogs, you could have the same problem. And I've had the same issues with Discogs. So, but yeah, I guess either way, with Discogs, you're generally going to be protected by PayPal, and on eBay, you'll be protected by eBay. So I think for the most part, and Amazon, they're going to take care of you. So my fears have kind of been assuaged over the years, where I feel pretty confident taking a chance, because I've never really gotten, as a buyer, I've never really gotten ripped off.
Yeah, I was so just to I feel weird defending eBay because it's a big company and all that, but it is what it is. But I've been looking for a later reissue of Jeff Buckley's Grace, a very specific one, and I'm not willing to exceed a certain price point on it. It's not terribly expensive, but it was like a $20 record when it came out. So I found it. Somebody in Canada had it sealed. I also want it sealed. And um price was great, even with shipping, so I get it, and I clean it, I put it on. Side one plays fantastic, and then side two, I'm so grateful. I'm like paying attention. It was by happenstance. I could see on the leading groove on side B, there's just a chunk out of it, and it was a sealed record. It was in beautiful shape. There was no dings or anything. So I messaged the user. I sent him a picture. I said, just so you know, I'm starting a return. I don't want to, take you by surprise. No reply. I'm sure they were annoyed because they sold a sealed record and it's damaged. If he really pushed back on me, I might have like reached a compromise with him. And so he processes the label. I print the label, I send it, and then like eBay kind of follows your trail on like a tracking mechanism. So it says your record's been received. If you don't receive your refund within like X amount of time, like let us know. I didn't get the refund like in a couple of days. eBay emailed me and said, did you get your refund yet? If not, click here. I clicked here, and like within 4 minutes I got my refund.
Yeah.
Because like, so it's like they do, it's not just like they're willing to side with you. They've automated the buyer protection in a lot of ways, and that's not something I remember ever really happening in the past couple of years. I don't return a lot on eBay.
The thing that's
But I thought,
interesting about eBay is that their process isn't the same every time. Like I've returned enough records where some I did a return for record where I'm pretty sure I got refunded and I kept the record. And they must have also, I don't know, maybe I don't know what happened to the seller because the seller never came back saying I need my record back or anything like that. So they must have been taken care of on their side as well. So eBay just, as far as I know, they just took care of it. And it was like a $30-$40 record or something. Sometimes they won't credit you until you go through the return process and get a label. Sometimes they'll credit you in advance. I mean, it's like, I don't know how they decide. And maybe this is just changes over time, but it seems to me like they were pretty close together. So, but yeah, I don't know. At the end of the day, however they do it, generally they are looking out for their buyers. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I think the seller has an option to, let's say, like let him keep the item or not. Like I don't
oh, okay.
require to come back. I think
Yeah.
I could be wrong about that. I feel like I sold something that was like, sometimes I'll put stuff on eBay just to break even on it, like something I'm going to throw out, let's say, but it's in good shape. Like sometimes I'll put it up there if I can ship it inexpensively just to get like feedback, like boost my feedback.
Right.
And like one time the person was like, this isn't what I wanted. And I just was like, all right. And I refunded it and let him keep it. Like I didn't care. So I think there's optionality on the seller side. Anyway,
That makes
I think
sense.
we beat the eBay pony to death.
Yeah, I'm ready to move on from eBay. Shout out, I am McLovin. Amazon is the worst. I've received a record in a bubble wrap mailer. Album was deformed. I've heard stories like that. I've never had that happen. I've had people say that they've had that happen in the past. Is that something that happened recently, McLovin? Because man, I'm telling you, my Amazon packages have actually been decent in the last, say, few years. Shout out, Andrew. Andrew, help me out. Is it Lovell or Lavelle? I know I keep saying Lovell. I want to get it right, man. I appreciate you. Is the accent on the first syllable or the second? Mark Boyd, I've had better experience buying on eBay than Discogs. Elliot, I just find Discogs extremely user-friendly, easy to search out specific LPs. Absolutely. It's an entirely different experience. Yeah, from that perspective. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Like eBay's like going to a thrift store and finding gems, and Discogs like going to a reputable record store and everything's organized. That's like the easiest way to compare them, I think.
Yeah. Lavelle, got it. I think that's the way I've been saying it.
I also think that Amazon's really picked it up. In fact, I don't know if it's because the volume I've returned to them or the volume I've bought from over the years, but they always ask me for feedback on how it was packaged all the time. Every
really?
time I get these emails all the time. How is this packaged? I think because I maybe complained before, but they've done a much better job securing that stuff.
Nice. So next one for me is going to be, I have some stuff I purchased overseas, and that can be scary. That's kind of a whole nother sort of variable to buying. And it's not just overseas. It depends on where what country you're buying from. I've had stuff, depending on the country, come in like 2 days, and I've had stuff come in like a month. I'm still waiting for a record that I bought, and it's been 4 weeks, and it's just stuck in customs, I've had really good luck buying from Japan, and I'm on the West Coast. I get that. But man, it gets here. I've had it come in like 2 or 3 days. It's on my porch, and it's kind of crazy. I don't know what it is. I mean, whatever shipping some of these places use, I mean, it's just extremely fast. It's way faster than trying to order something from even California. And I'm in Oregon, and that could still take, a week. Amazing to me how fast I've received stuff from Japan. The thing about Japan is going to be shipping costs, right? You're going to find a record that you want. Maybe you're into Japanese vinyl and you like the obi strips, or you just see a record that you want. Maybe it's difficult to find it somewhere else. You see the price is right, but now it's $20 in shipping or something, right? My pro tip buying from Japan, which I recommend if you're into Japanese vinyl, I say first of all, is anytime you buy Japanese vinyl, unless you buy it from me, you're going to pay a premium if it has an obi strip, or just because you don't have to pay that extra shipping. So if it's a $20 record plus $20 shipping from Japan, you're going to see that same record in the US for $40 9 times out of 10, which I hate. If you are going to buy from Japan, though, I would say buy a lot if you can. Buy in lots. Put together a few, bundle something up. You find a store, you find a record you want. It's like, oh man, I really want this. For example, Iron Maiden Peace of Mind right here with that obi strip. If I was it's already a pricey record. Now I'm going to tack $20 shipping on, no, thank you. I'll go through my want list and see if there's other things on there that I want. And so like, if I see a bunch of stuff with obi strips that are records that I want, even if I'm not necessarily looking for them right now, like here's the 12-inch of Eyes Without a Face, Billy Idol with obi, different cover than the US version. Some of these aren't going to be as pricey, like Human League Dare. I'm just, as an example, I'm just showing all these just to show that, I'll bundle these up. This one's got a nice Japanese hype sticker on it. And that shipping, it's going to be more, but it's going to be way less per record. So as opposed to paying $20 per record, I might be only paying like $4 or $5 a record now, or less even. And yeah, it's more upfront. Like I get that. Now I'm spending $100 where I was only going to spend 40 or $120 or whatever. But if I'm going to buy these anyway over time, and I'm going to get hit with that shipping charge every time, I would rather just take that, punch to the face up front and save a lot of money on shipping. So bundling from Japan, or, just international shipping in general, I recommend Japan because I love Japanese vinyl. I like the obi strips, and they ship extremely fast. So it's kind of a win-win for me. So yeah, that's my tip. I think if you're going to buy overseas and get dinged for shipping, is try to see if you can't do a bundle, get yourself 3, 4, 5, even 10 records, and that shipping will come down per record significantly. So yeah, don't get dinged, onesie twosie style, because that gets pricey.
Yeah, so I've actually bought overseas more recently for a couple of different reasons. And I'm not going for used stuff, but I want to just show a few things for people.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'll just overseas airmail is always faster than the US media mail, David Nelm says. Yeah, absolutely. Cesar Japan is great if they're using the EMS or FedEx. Yeah, $26 for lightning fast. Yep. Lavelle says, stuff shipped from Japan arrives faster than when I order in the States. Absolutely. I have the same experience. It's crazy. Where about are you, Lavelle? I'm curious, because I always thought it was because I was on the West Coast, but maybe not. Elliot Cruz, I sent an LP media mail from North Carolina to LA, and it got there, or maybe that's Louisiana. Is Louisiana LA? Got there in less than 48 hours, amazingly fast. Never had it happen again. Usually 6 to 10 days coast to coast. Yeah. So LA, I'm assuming. AA, that I set up a singles awesome. I love the idea of collecting your favorite songs from life, and one with alternate art is tops, man. Yeah, that's a great one too, man, because it also has Rebel Yell and Dancing with Myself, which isn't even technically a Billy Idol song, right? He did that before. Cheaper for them to just clean up the situation ASAP, right outside Chicago. Gotcha. And Elliot Cruz is in Cali. All right. Let me show Chris's screen here. There we go.
So I found one gem of a site. I think that this is in another Denmark. It says it right there. So I was looking for a European pressing of the Verve's Urban Hymns reissue, like one specific pressing, and they had it. So I kind of similar to Spins. I had to bundle some stuff up, and I found this site iMusic, and they actually have a considerable backlog of RSD stuff that I was double checking, like the US Discogs, and there was like stuff that I thought was impossible to get. They had readily available on here, like some old craft recording reissues and a few other things that I poked around. So this site iMusic is great. And reasonably priced, and same thing, like they send it Royal Mail, I think. And I think I ordered on like a Thursday and I had it by like Tuesday morning. And I really wasn't that expensive for shipping. So they also have like Japanese vinyl. Obviously they have all the stuff we have access to in the States, but I found that the records arrived immaculate. The packaging was great. No warps, no scuffs on this stuff. And I ordered like 3 or 4 records at once from them. The other place I've ordered is CD Japan. A couple of years ago, I guess it's like 2 years now, they released a Bob Dylan Budokan complete concert, which was only a Japanese import on LP. So I was like going crazy all over to find it, and I found it on this site. I could pre-order it. I had a lot of success with them, and I've looked on their site. I haven't found anything I needed because it's going to be like mostly stuff I can get here. And then Light in the Attic wound up reissuing it like a year later in the States, but I needed to get it because I didn't know it was going to be reissued in the States. I got it from here. The one place I had trouble with, and I just tell everybody to be careful, if you go on Tower Records Japan, which like has a decent stock, when you click on this link, it's going to give you kind of a pop-up if you're shopping outside of Japan. And it's kind of, it's not a scam, but they totally get over on you. If you ever see, if you're shopping internationally, this world shopping shipping package, don't ever sign up for it. Essentially what it does is, this is my layman's understanding because I only had one experience with it. You purchased a record from this site. They're kind of like a broker where they actually go purchase it on your behalf, and then they hold it in like their like hub or whatever, and then you have to pay them to ship it to you. Which is like insane because like I guess Tower Records in Japan either doesn't ship directly or this is like a pop-up ad they have. So I did this by accident. Then I saw like the cost was inflated versus what I found on CD Japan. So I tried to cancel it and they wouldn't let me. So I just like blocked the charge on my card, and my bank like took care of it and like stopped it from happening. But they were a pain in the ass. So like if you ever see these like broker shippers pop up on international sites, like stay far away from it. That would be my advice. But again, I'm not buying used internationally. You know, I've ordered from these sites, or I've ordered from like Sam's Records or Newland, like direct, and I've never had an issue. Like comes like you said, Spins like super fast, faster than media mail, gets through customs like pretty reasonably, and it's really not that much more expensive. So
yeah, that's a big thing, is that depending on where you're buying around the world, the customs is going to be way different. Customs in Japan is almost non-existent. I mean, it just comes, it just gets through, going both directions as far as I know. Trying to ship to Germany can be a real pain. In fact, a lot of people avoid it, but then shipping from Germany apparently isn't that bad. Yeah, it just depends, man. I've ordered from Greece and records came really quickly from Greece. But then, like I said, I don't remember where this last record is that I ordered. I don't remember where I ordered it from, but it's taken like a month to get here, and it's been in customs for weeks. LaBelle says, I saw the Verve on tour. How's that reissue sound, Chris?
Yeah, I just mentioned it sounds really good. So this is like, I wanted an OG. I won't get like a VG, and like anything near mint is like really expensive. It's not that good of an album like that I need it. But I really want it. I really like it. So I found this one pressing after some research, and it sounds good. It's from High Res Digital Master, and I guess the previous reissue was that Capital Vault series, which like pressed in the US, it just sounds like crap. So this was like the known version to go after.
I'm
I
guessing
didn't
the
compare
Verve
it to
was
anything.
recorded digital, right? I mean, likely.
No, I don't think it was. I'm
Oh,
not
really?
really sure. Yeah, I'm not positive. I just always preface that I'm a condition to make sure people know it's from digital sources, because I don't want anybody like freaking out that I told them the wrong thing. But it sounds really great. It's like the vinyl super quiet. It punches really nice. The strings really come out on the tunes, because there's a lot of string production on that album. Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, to put it, it was $40 US, and I held the first pressing in my hand in like near mint, and the guy was asking like $650 for it. I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta pick your battles.
But I also, on that site, I found that everybody digs Bill Evans in mono RSD, which I from my understanding, it wasn't that really easy to get secondhand, and actually had an issue with it. There was like one of those persistent ticks, and I sent them some videos, and they're sending me a replacement, and I have to send back the original. So I was pretty happy with that.
Very nice.
Yep.
Funny you brought up the Beatles earlier, because I do have some Beatles to show, and this is just kind of wrapping up on the Japanese wax. If you're someone that doesn't care about Obi strips, you can save money, because the Obies are always going to command a premium for the most part. I mean, it depends. Some Obies are very common. You see them just about every time you see a record, you see it with the Obi strip, but some are extremely uncommon and were either disposed of or damaged or whatever. But if you don't care about it, like here's a bunch of Beatles stuff that I got from Japan. We got, just show quickly, but we got Rubber Soul. This is the EAS series. I did a shootout where I compared the Odeon pressing versus the AP pressing versus the EAS series of Revolver. And it kind of depends. They're kind of title dependent. Unfortunately, it's hard for me to tell you, avoid EAS at all costs. I wouldn't say that, because they actually have some great pressings. And I think EAS series is probably the most affordable one. This is an APK of a Revolver. People would maybe say the Odeon one would sound better on the red translucent vinyl. Overall, I thought this one had the most balanced stereo mix. So I kept this one out of the three. I had an EAS and an Odeon, which I passed on. But the ABKs, I think, actually overall sounds really, really good. So, but again, bundling these up and avoiding the Obies if you don't care about them. You're going to get the UK track listings, where and albums, like example, they Meet the Beatles, obviously. And when you pick up like a Revolver, you're getting the UK, not the US Capitol listing, track listing and stuff. So it's kind of cool if you appreciate that about your Beatles records, you want to go for the UK track listing. So yeah, just another way to save some money. Avoid the Obies. If I try to be selective. Usually I'll just pick them up if they're not pricier, because I think they are cool. If I can find it, even if it's a couple bucks, I might say, all right, give me the Obi. But otherwise I don't need it, so just another tip. Maybe that's an obvious one, but you don't have to go for the Obies. You can just go for a nice little bundle or a nice record that, and oftentimes, and you probably hear this a million times, but I'll say it again, they're usually very conservatively graded and in very good condition and quiet. And yeah, they were just well cared for. So another kind of reason why sometimes I know often, for the most part, I would say 9 times out of 10, I know if I'm going to buy a record that says VG Plus from Japan, it's going to come VG Plus or better 90% of the time. Whereas in the US, it could be hit or miss. It could be hit or miss. So another couple of tips there.
I have another t-shirt idea. I think last week, I don't know if you were on, I think it was after your blackout, but I said, I drive a Nissan because I collect records.
Right.
I think another t-shirt idea for the Spins Vinyl store would be, you don't play the OB.
You don't play the
OB. Say you don't play,
there you go, dude. I love that.
I gotta say, on the subject of Japanese pressings, I'm not like I don't seek them out, but I know that you and I have done some trades and I bought some stuff on your whatnot. And I've been really impressed with the pressing quality. Everything is so quiet. Forget the cleanliness and stuff, because I'm I trust you on that. But if it's not a record, I'm not seeking out like the ultimate pressing of it. It's like a lot of stuff I got from you, I just want a filler. Like, I didn't have the album, but I wanted it, and the price was right and all that stuff. Sounds phenomenal. And even some of the, I know they reopened the Japanese pressing plant, the Sony plant, and I think I got the Charlie Rouse from there, which is like a hard to get record, and it's not in print except for that version, at least recently. To me, it sounds amazing. It's like I'm like, why can't all vinyl be like this? So I'm kind of going in that world. When I used to, like, if I was in a store and I saw like a Japanese press and like a US press, I would just like US press, obviously. But now I'm like second guessing myself when I see certain things. So
what did you make any conscious, did you notice any difference in the low end consciously? Mark Boyd is asking about low end. And I have my opinions because I have a lot of Japanese vinyl. I'm just wondering what you think.
So it's a good question. I guess I wasn't paying attention, or I didn't notice it because I didn't have a point of reference. I'm not a deep, like, I love the Beatles, but I don't go out and like seek multiple pressings. Like, I'm happy with what I have and I'm fine with that. But I know on the Japanese pressings that I have, that I got from Spins and a couple other places, it's not bright, but it like the highs and the mids cut. So maybe the low end is a little lacking on those in some cases, but I feel like for like a rock record, I like that the Japanese pressings like aren't harsh. Like, and I have some pretty heavy rock stuff on, on Japanese press, or what I consider heavy rock. I'm not like a metalhead or anything. But yeah, I can't really comment like in general about low end, unless Mark's specifically talking about the Beatles pressings, and I'm not the right guy to like take a deep dive on the 48 variations of Sgt. Pepper's from 1968. Like, or I'm just not. It's not me.
Yeah, I think after hundreds of sample sizes with Japanese pressing, and we've talked a lot about with Jason Rojas on like surface noise and stuff, and he's someone that does shootouts. It's tough to add bottom end without burying some of the high end. And I think the whole purpose of what the Japanese pressings attempt to do, it seems to me, is give you as much fidelity as possible.
Yeah.
If that means at the loss of some low end, maybe. I know that's really, and I've tried to do my research on this. I have tons of videos on my channel about Japanese wax, if you're interested. But that's really the one hit that people give Japanese pressings, is that there's a lacking low end. I haven't noticed it be enough to matter, or that I really even was conscious of it, because I'm so impressed by how just the breadth of the fidelity and the things that you do here is so clean and sounds so good. And sometimes you can't fix it with your EQ. I get that. I know sometimes a mix can be poor enough, or a mastering can be poor enough, where if you try to up the bass, now you're like messing with the whole curve and everything. With Japanese vinyl, I think I can bump it up one, and I feel like I'm in home base and I haven't lost anything. So it's going to be a personal thing. I know it's a long drawn out answer, but I wouldn't buy them as much as I do if I thought I was losing something. I think they sound great. And I'm someone that likes, again, keep in mind, I'm also 52. So I like a little extra high end, because I want to be able to hear that fidelity and stuff. I don't mind. I don't want it to have no low end. I know I'm going droning on here, but to answer your question, anyone that's curious, does the vinyl cut out all the low end? No, they don't. If anything, they broaden the spectrum a little bit to where you can hear more. And then anytime I pumped up the bass slightly, I've never felt like it didn't seem out of whack or anything like that. So anyway, moving on. I hope that's helpful.
I don't have the ability to even EQ my system. I have an integrated amp.
Yeah.
Which is volume control. Like I just, I drop the record and the way it sounds is the way it sounds. And I agree with you, like on the Japanese pressings, this could be like a negative description of a record for some audiophiles, I guess, but there's a sparkle that comes out of rock records that are Japanese pressings because of that fidelity and separation that I noticed. There's like no muddiness even on a poorly recorded record. And I also really feel like, and maybe this is like a scarcity thing. Like, I don't think anybody's looking for like funkadelic Japanese pressings. I don't even know if they exist, but you're not typically buying like groove music that's pressed on Japanese vinyl. I feel like it's mostly classic rock or jazz or metal, like a lot of metal, right? A lot of Iron Maiden, stuff like that. I think the Japanese pressings are pretty sought after.
I highly recommend Japanese jazz. I just do. There's a few different series that I always recommend. The GXK series, which comes out of the I forget what the first series was. It was roughly the same. What they changed one letter, but those came out in the late 70s, and they did all of the great blue notes, man. And they sound phenomenal. And I've tested them against other pressings and stuff. They just sound really, really good. Let's see. Mark Boyd says Stereo Lab remasters had OBs made from the multi-track, so sometimes you can play the OB. Okay. That's funny. Collecting overseas or in the Americas, if you find a seller from that country that focuses in a genre and they sell a lot to other countries, I found great Argentina and Mexico. Okay, that's cool, Cesar. David Nelm says my Japanese DSOM Pro use has no loss of low end, at least as far as I can tell. Yep, I would agree with you, David. I only pause or even discuss it because I know everyone's ears are a little different, and it is something that people are listening for. But man, I've just never had a problem with it. Japanese pressing. I won't say never. I mean, yes, just in the same way you can get a bad record anywhere else. In the US, you might get a bad mix of Iron Maiden and it just sounds like crap. And you'll hear people say like, oh, buy them from somewhere else because you can't hear the vocals. Everything's muddy. Yeah, Japanese. I've had a Japanese jazz album that was tons of sibilance, was very harsh, and I stay away from that particular series. But there's so many other great records that come out of there. Ordering a few together to save for shipping. 3 is my sweet spot. That always they always tell me, and I get their WhatsApp, and they send me even videos of the records. Nice. Japanese are also living on top of each other and has okay.
That's a great point.
Okay. Sorry. So Japanese are also living on top of each other and have thin walls. You can't blow out your neighbors with bass. Yes. Okay. That makes sense.
Similar to the early jazz masters.
Right. Similar to jazz too. A perfect prescription. Shout out perfect prescription vinyl community. For mine, Japanese vinyl is a case by case proposition. It was great when it was cheap, and at a point, the only way to reasonably obtain something. Yeah. Good point. Everything's always case by case, right? I mean, pressing to pressing, series to series. It's just country to. I wish you could just say, it'd be a lot easier if we could just say like, oh, this series always sucks, avoid it. Or this records from this country always suck, just avoid it. Most of the time, that's not the case. You got to take it on a case by case basis. Okay, next for me. Here's an example of buying something from Greece. I was looking to, and again, I'm putting together my Cure collection because I had a lot of reissues to kind of fill in. But I was like, you know what? I want to go back and kind of get rid of those and fill in, get the OGs. And I did. I found a couple coming out of Greece, I think on eBay. And the 2 I picked up are Pornography and Faith. So if you look at this Faith, you will see massive water damage. But The price was right. I wanted this badly. It's in very, very nice condition. Both of these are super clean. Once I put them through the humdinger, if I could steal a coin of phrase from Mr. Rojas, these things are clean. No noise. I would say near mint minus. But I took a chance because this one was damaged, right? So I don't know, I don't know what people think of that. It was hard to tell in the pictures. I knew it was going to come with damage on the jacket. But if maybe this tells you a little something about who I am as a record buyer, I don't know. Man, these things sound good. These are Polydor out of Greece. They sound fantastic. I'm so glad I took the risk. They came here really quickly because I bundled. I was able to save some money, and I just took the faith with the water damage. I said, screw it. I'm not playing the cover. It just doesn't bother me all that much. It sounds so good. And these are so hard to come by now. Original Kier stuff, certain of their albums are tough. They're pricey. They're pricey. So the price was right. And now I can recommend, I have other Greek pressings as well. So jumping into this, I was kind of like, I hope it sounds as good as some of the other ones I have. I've had a lot of success, not only having Greek pressings, but also purchasing from Greece. So I don't know if that's a pro tip or not. If you can live with that, sometimes you can get a really nice record. And I want to hear these, you know what I mean? I want to hear the originals. I don't care all that much. I can live with it. So that's another maybe pro tip there. You find something you really want, and the faith was marked down because of the damage. So I was like, hey, I'm getting a pornography. I can save on the shipping if I get two, and I need faith. And if it's clean, I'm happy. I'm happy.
Are you going to go on the Discogs release page and like beg people to sell you a cover that's clean now?
Well, say that again. So I was reading the comment. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Are you going to go on the Discogs release for that record and like beg people to sell you, like looking for a cover only, like message me? I always see
Probably
that.
not. I know. I see
This
that.
record. All right, I get like excited because I'll see like a box set I'm looking at, like really inexpensive. Then I click on it. It's like selling the hardcover book only. I'm like, oh, that's not what I'm looking for.
I'm a weirdo in that way, man. And it just depends on the record. But like, if I can get a clean record that sounds great, particularly if it's an OG, depending on what it is, and the jacket is messed up, I have to have the jacket. I don't like to not. I couldn't just have the record without the jacket. But the jacket's a little fried or whatever, and it's something that's difficult to pick up, I have no problem picking it up.
All right, so let's say like you're in a shop and somebody has a near mint. I don't even know if this exists. A true near mint white label promo of Out to Lunch, but there's no jacket.
Oh gosh, that's one I might cheat on.
Okay.
Reason being is I have a second press. I bet you it's the same jacket, or it's close. So,
but yeah, I couldn't do that.
I know you.
I couldn't put it in another jacket. What if you go to sell it and like some elitist is like, oh no, this is the second jacket because there's a colored disfiguration on the Blue Note logo, and that's how you tell the second jacket from the first.
Let me tell you my my opinion on that. Or here's my philosophy. I don't buy a record thinking about selling it. I don't.
Yeah.
I know that's probably weird for some people. And the other thing is if I don't get all my money back and I lose, let's say I buy a record for $50 and I have to sell it for 30, I consider that rent. I had that record for 5 years or 10 years or whatever. I got to listen to it and enjoy it. You know what? I didn't get everything back out of it. I got something back. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
Alex SR, that water damage is okay. It kind of goes with the cover art. I know it kind of does actually. It actually does. Like if you were looking at this if this was a black and white camera that I was showing you, you might not even notice it. But
yeah, it made me crack up when you were talking.
So what do you think of Frankenstein records?
It's like how do I say it? Like I
just say no, you hate it.
No, I don't hate it, but like I'm not a super spiritual person, but I wouldn't want to be a purchaser of a Frankenstein record and not be aware of it. I would have felt like someone got over on me on it.
Well, would you Frankenstein together your own record?
Probably not. I know for a fact that I have, um, like I have this it's actually really accessible. There's this 3-disc Phil Spector compilation. I have 2 copies of, like, one the cover is beat to crap and the records are immaculate. The other one, like, the cover's in really good shape and the records are like VG. I still won't swap them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just won't do it.
You couldn't sleep at night. You'd be like, your wife would be like, Chris, what's wrong? I can't, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. I just keep it the way it is. I mean, that's a little stupid because it's not like it's a valuable record or a rare record or anything, but I don't know. Because I mean, how many times have this has happened to me a lot? Like you're in a store and like the store doesn't know better because some of the reissues are pretty legit. Like there's
Yeah.
not a lot of variance. And like I remember this the first Curtis Mayfield album in a store and the jacket's like okay. And then I like pull out their record and it's like it looked like it got cleaned with lighter fluid. It was like so sparkly. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is kind of thick for like a 1970 and I'm like, oh, it's the 180 gram
I
reissue
was
or
gonna say,
whatever
you don't bring
from
your
a few
scale
years
to the
ago.
record store?
I'm like, what? I'm like, this is so like they didn't like this is a reputable store. They're not I've never had a problem there, but I was like, nah, this and it says like first on it. I'm like, this isn't a first press, it's a first press jacket and a reissue in there. I'm like, so anyway,
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
yeah,
Just
I agree with that. I mean, I understand. I don't want to. Don't want to ever buy anything that I don't know what I'm getting. I would feel duped. But if I was, like I said, I would buy a first. I tell you right now today, if somebody wants to sell me a VG Plus Eric Dolphy out to lunch first pressing without a jacket for a fair price, I will swap it with the jacket I have. Or I'll put them
Mhm.
both in the same jacket. I just don't care that much. You know what I mean? I'm a weirdo that way. But
No, you're not a weirdo. I think I'm the weirdo that I can't Frankenstein it.
I
I know
feel
a
the
lot of people that just like have especially I mean, it's kind of what keeps me away from 45s besides I don't need another collection, but like I would have a hard time not having picture sleeves or original sleeves with it. I'd be like, ugh, like, you know, that would just bother me.
I can totally relate. This isn't me saying like I've evolved or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. But I've been a very meticulous in my past. And so, in fact, look, we talked about it. New Year's resolutions. One of my New Year's resolutions was to like not be so intense about this stuff and everything. And so I've actually, well, I was going to say I've been sleeping a little better, but I haven't. But at least I'm not staying up at night worrying about, is this record clean enough? Should I have it in that sleeve? It should be in a, or whatever. It's like, I just don't let it get to me anymore. It doesn't mean that much to me anymore. So just real quick, get through some of these comments. That's what says oh wait, sorry. I want to make sure I get everybody perfect prescription. No rules is the best rule, just guidelines that you broadly apply. Cesar says it's weird, huh? Like consciously, it doesn't belong to each other, right? Like a vinyl has been with the jacket for years, and you're gonna split them from each other. Sad. And then Chris says, Chris or Tokyo Record Styles says, Chris, I want to talk about Phish with you sometime. So check that out. Proof Seeker. I see you've commented already. That goes for anybody whoever wants to rap about the Phish from Vermont. Well, we might get into Phish. We'll see how our timing is. You guys may have been here last time when I had a power outage. Chris had to take it the rest of the way into the end zone. But I did create a little game. So of course I like to do Would You Rather, and it's just sitting here collecting dust. So maybe if we have time, we'll break out the Would You Rather Phish edition that we didn't get to last week. So here's another one. This is dealing with grails or something that you really want. And I use the word, again, as loosely as I am with my Frankensteining of records, theoretically. I'm kind of loose with my term grail too. So don't be offended if I hold up a record that you don't think is a grail. But this is a tough original to come by. This is an 80s record by The Sound called From the Lion's Mouth. This has been reissued, but for some reason I had it in my head. I wanted an original. I just want an OG of this. This is the only Sound record I'm ever going to buy, probably. Most of my 80s stuff is OG. And this, even though it's a little tougher and pricier, like I want to go for the OG. And I don't have a lot to say except be patient and be prepared to kind of pay up a little bit. Um, Patience can work both ways, and I'm gonna show why in a little bit. I'll show another record where patience sometimes doesn't pay off. You want to strike when the iron is hot sometimes also. But so I looked at the history on this record and it hadn't really moved that much. So I was kind of like, all right, price wise. So I waited around, I found the right situation and I snagged it. And I'm very happy with this. Probably like a $70 record. That's a lot for me. I don't generally spend that kind of money. I just don't, I very selectively do. I have spent over $100 probably a handful of times only because I kind of had to if I wanted to own it. So this is probably about $70 and it's a great record. And yeah, the only thing I could say is like, be patient, do your look around. I wouldn't jump on the first thing you see. I mean, unless you have the funds to do that and you just find a near mint copy and it's original and you just drop the money and buy it. If you're trying to be economical though, sometimes we got to be patient and do your homework, look around. And eventually this popped up and I pulled the trigger and I'm happy. I feel like I got my money's worth and ended up with an OG. So
Yeah, because I'm so picky, I don't really look for grails because it's going to cost me way too much. There's 2 or 3 albums. So there's three albums that I would pony up for if the situation presented itself, and they're not uncommon grails. I think no one would be shocked at what they are. But just because I wouldn't, because I'm not a collector of the artifact as much as I'm a collector of the music, I wouldn't take a grail in like a lesser condition than what I like to play just to say I have it. Unless like, and this is such a rarity for me now. These days are over for me, or at least I feel like they are. Like unless I find it, in a place like a bookstore, or like a thrift shop, or at a flea market or something, where it's like, oh man, this is like way undervalued, and how could I pass this up? But that's, to me, like that's been gone for a while from where I shop, unfortunately. Then I would make an exception, because then, to your point, like maybe I could flip it. Maybe I'm just happy that I have it, and I paid, a tenth or a fifth of what I should have paid for it. So it was like a good deal. But I have my grails on my wish list on Discogs, and I just can't find the motivation to spend what people are asking for them. And I'm sure that eventually some of these will come down, and maybe I'll be able to make a pick on them. But I don't have that problem, fortunately. I also think, like, and this means nothing in the eyes of a collector, but I have a lot of respect for some of the people I know that when they find their grail, like I respect this a lot about Brandon, and I respect this a lot about Rojas, is that obviously they have massive collections and really nice stuff and great things, but they subsidize those grail purchases by getting rid of other things.
right.
That's another thing I'd have a really difficult time doing. Like, is, if I found something I want, would I be willing to get rid of other stuff that I really, really like and have, because there's like, it has a value there. That's another reason why I just don't go down that path. I just don't have the want to do that. I'd rather have what I have, and
Well, that's
like you said, be patient.
a pro tip that neither one of us probably have a lot of experience with, although I have found myself doing this in the past, maybe not with records, but other things. I used to be a big book person. And if I saw a book and it was one that I knew was good and I already had it and the price was right and I knew I could flip it and buy 2 more books, then I would do it, And I think that's kind of the mentality there, right? And even though I can't speak to this with records because I don't really have hardly any duplicates, maybe 2, just by chance. Is if you see a record and the price is right, and I'll bet you those guys have experience with that, snag it, have another copy of it, and either you pass it on to someone or you flip it at some down or trade it and trade up and stuff like that. That sounds like if I was that kind of buyer, I could see that really helping to subsidize the collection, especially those grails you're talking about.
Actually, too, I go back. I forget because it's been such a long time, but I had a first pressing of Cannonball's something else, like a true Blue Note first press. Hmm. And I sold it and it like subsidized my Tone Poets for 2 years. I had promo copies of Thriller and off the wall, like gold stamp promos that I probably paid like $4 or $5 for of this music shop that was in my town before the record boom happened. And I
Ooh, I
flipped
would have gave you
those.
10 bucks a piece for those.
Yeah, well,
Double your
I
money.
wish I knew I wish I knew you because I would have given you a deal, but it's like those are like nice to haves, but I think I'm at a point where a lot of stuff sounds really great on my turntable, and I'm not really interested in like digging through the nuances to seek out like I have to have the first press because it's this much better than this pressing I have. I think I got to a point where I just want what I want because I want the music. And even like when we did that trade for Cornell, I know that's like a Grail record for people. And for me, it was like, I, tell me what you're willing to get rid of because I just want to fill my collection. And that was like, it's stuff like that that I've seeked out. That's not to say like I don't like having nice stuff, or if it comes across, I will. But I'm just not breaking my back to kind of do that anymore. It's not.
Gotcha.
It kind of takes the fun out of it.
Perfect Prescription, great album. The sound reissue is smoking sound wise. Okay. Yeah, I love that album. Perfect Prescription. So, kind of getting into this topic. Sometimes you need the original. Other times you don't. It's just where the particular record sits in your particular pantheon. For albums I love, I like an OG and the latest and greatest sound wise. Yeah. Um, that's our Chris Cornell,
Chris Cornell,
not Chris
no, the
Cornell.
real Cornell. I
Um,
like what Perfect Prescription's saying
yeah,
because look, I know that the reissues aren't perfect in a lot of people's eyes, but um I sold that Duke Ellington John Coltrane press because I thought the acoustic sounds one was cleaner and it didn't sound much different than that pressing I had. And
yeah.
I'm never gonna sell that reissue for what I sold the second pressing for. So I was like, you know,
Well,
do I want the artifact with some crackle, or do I want something that maybe sounds a little mastered differently, but sounds fidelity is awesome, and I'm not going to listen to that record once a month for the next 50 years of my life. I'm just not.
yeah. Perfect Prescription opens up a massive can of worms with that because, and I know I've had this discussion with Brandon in the past of like, I can't even, there is no one algorithm for why I want an original or why I could have a reissue or might prefer a reissue. It is so on a record by record basis. And, um, I can hardly explain it. You'd have to ask me about a specific record, and I could tell you. We could do a whole game where you said, "Okay, just shout out titles, and would you have to have an OG or issue?" And we just like do rapid fire, and I could tell you. But I don't have a rule about it. So
Well, it's like I kind of hear what you're saying. Like, I'm trying to think of some. Like, I have a lot of I like the Birds a lot, and I have some like Birds like early pressings, and I have some really crappy reissues. But like, I have to have the album because I like the album. So like, I'm settled on that, and like, I'll upgrade if I have to. Like, Tom Petty's a mix too of like reissues and like a lot of first presses. Prince is the same way. I have a lot of original Prince pressings. I have a lot of reissues. So like some artists, like if you look at the collection, it's just like a mix up of OGs, reissues, later reissues, whatever it is. But it's like I'm just concerned. Do I have that album right now? There's very few like um like you're saying titles where I'm like, oh, it has to be an original. I don't
you and
even
I
have
might
an
be
original. I don't
a
even have an
little,
original of Dark Side of the Moon. Like I just
yeah.
don't right now.
Well, and something like that's going to be really pricey. So I think for me, a lot of the music I like, a lot of it, not all of it. OGs aren't that crazy. And I think I will say one rule. I'm gonna do a little amendment to what I said before, which is if it's something that I grew up with, oftentimes that's going to be like 80s music. It might be like 70s music or something like that. I want it to sound the way it sounded when I had it. And so oftentimes I will seek originals for that kind of stuff. If it's something that I'm just discovering or something like that, I'm probably less picky because I don't have the muscle memory in my brain of how this is supposed to sound. And I'm never going to be irritated by they added low end, they remixed it. This is, and stuff like that. So that is the one kind of hard, fast rule that I go by. But that's, other than that, it's kind of hit or miss.
So I'm similar with that too. And I several weeks ago, Jason Rojas and I had an offline conversation about this. It was probably around the time he was posting his video on the Doors shootout. So there's a couple of really distinct things about my record collection. I'm buying stuff that I have bought multiple times in my life, like whether it was CD, tape, a record in my first collection, digital files. Like I'm rebuying a lot of the albums that I love. So to me, it's like I had my chance for an original on some of these, especially some of the stuff I grew up as a kid. And I'm just like, I'm not interested in finding it out. The second thing is I grew up on CDs. I started listening to jazz on CD. So the reissue reference point for me sounds amazing from what I remember hearing it when I
Right.
bought, the Miles reissues on Columbia in the late 90s and 2000s. I was like,
Yep.
I didn't even know that they could sound any better than that. I just thought everything sounded the same. I didn't know any better. But like what's etched in my brain, like what you're saying on the flip side of that is like I was listening to a bad copy anyway. When I go back and listen to it now, the files I have from those CDs I burned or ripped onto my hard drive, I'm like, oh God, like thank God I got back into vinyl because I didn't know what I was missing.
Right.
But I didn't have I never had an original Kind of Blue in my possession, or I wasn't around to have that version of Kind of Blue etched in my brain. So it's like I'm sure it sounds phenomenal and I'd be happy to have it, but I'm not going to chase that dragon just because it's an original. It's like very hit or miss with me.
Gotcha.
And again, I go back to the artifact. Like I'm not an anthropologist. Like I listen to music, so it's like
Right. Cesar, yeah. So the Cornell, just to clear that up, that's Cornell University, New York, right, Chris? That's where the Grateful Dead performed in 1977. It's known as one of the kind of classic live moments for the Grateful Dead. They finally put it out on wax, and it's like a 4 LP, and it's gotten really pricey. And I used to listen to it, Chris, believe it or not. I used to trade tapes with people, and I knew someone that was really into the Grateful Dead tapes and stuff, so I could always get copies of stuff for him, and that popped up in one of those deals, and it was like, once I started, once I realized it was on vinyl, I was like, okay, I have to have it. So thank you for working out a trade. Cesar says also, I have the 30th anniversary reissue. That's all I need. I think we're talking about Dark Side of the Moon, and if we are, Felipe turned me on to that pressing. He says it's really great. So I'm thinking that might be the one I go with. I don't have a Dark Side of the Moon right now. So I might grab that one. Bird's Music.
I have a copy that I got at WFMU, and I worked this guy down because I pulled it out and it was just dish warped.
Oh.
Like bad. So he's like, well, it still plays. I'm like, okay. So I worked him down with the intention of fixing it and flattening it, and I did flatten it, and the warp was so bad that it came right back like 2 days later.
Oh,
like,
really?
So but I put it on my second turntable. It sounds amazing. I just can't play it on I just won't play it on my my normal turntable because I'm just afraid it'll just jump around too much.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I have that. While you're talking, I'll go grab it.
Okay. Perfect Prescription. Bird's music on vinyl sounds so clean, particularly Notorious Bird Brothers. Woo! You and I are Bird Brothers because I love that record. Notorious Bird Brothers might be my favorite Birds album, and that's another one where you can grab those originals fairly cheap, even like the pricier ones, like the Western. I can't think of the title, but the Western. I think it came out right after Notorious Bird Brothers, if I'm not mistaken. That one might be the most pricey one, but oftentimes you can find those in the wild and get them fairly cheaply, and they sound great. Wyoming Dave says, I don't mind buying some of the represses that Walmart sells if the record is firm, 1991 on up, because all the US 90s pressings are already going for big bucks. And Cesar says, Wait, Jason, Felipe just told me the EMI is the better one. I was just talking to him yesterday. Oh, so maybe I confused it. It's the EMI. Okay. The EMI.
1990,
That's so funny.
1997.
Felipe
Yeah,
is
1997
making the
EMI.
rounds, pitching the dark side that he got. Okay.
I know. I gotta have a word with Felipe. I thought I got the I thought because I'm one of his. I have his personal Patreon. I get all the exclusive insights. But yeah, I think he was talking about the 97 EMI.
Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah.
I need a Patreon. If I had a Patreon, would you subscribe to mine?
I hope I would get a cut of subscriptions. I don't know if I pay for it. So this is for Cesar. This is my 30th anniversary Dark Side. I don't know. I've showed you guys this stuff on like the warps before, but this is pretty bad. I don't know if you can really tell on camera. Let me try to straighten it.
Keep in mind that when he says really bad, you have to grade on the Chris curve.
No, it's ugly. Like if I'll take a picture of it on my turntable. I mean, you can see it's really bold, pretty bad. Yeah, I was pissed, but I knew what I was getting into. But I thought I could fix it. I thought I could, and it just didn't work. And if you flatten it too much, you're gonna get groove distortion.
Mess up the groove. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've 9 out of 10 times, knock on wood, I'm very good at flattening. And I'm a little bit more lenient on my flattening habits with new records that I know I could return.
Yeah.
But this was a heartbreaker because the price was right. I think I got the guy down to like $50 on it, but bad gamble.
Let me show a few more just to kind of jam through some of these. I do have a bunch more records. We're going to get to how I like record store shopping, and we've been doing mostly online stuff, all online stuff, I think so far. Amazon. I'm not afraid to use the Dragon because, we already have a Prime subscription for other stuff. And so records pop up. I literally have a search for like Blue Note, and you can find classic series and tone poets for massive markdowns. So here's Point of Departure. Grab this one off Amazon. It is a classic series. Sounds phenomenal. Again, you're protected. For me, they always ship fine. And it was a great way to save some money on this. I probably paid like $20 or something on that. Same with tone poets, man. You can, if you do a little search and save a search for these and sort by price, you will always find classic series and tone poets on sale. I only really buy jazz on Amazon. So because it's really the only new records I buy for the most part, unless it's a one-off thing, it's going to be jazz. It's going to be probably Blue Note stuff. Just because they're so pricey to buy them other ways. Like even when it comes to like original jazz classic stuff, I mostly have 80s pressings from the first round of OJC that I don't even really pick those up now. But anyway, for people that are down with Amazon, this stuff is free shipping. If you got Prime, they always run sales. And so I can't recommend it enough for the economic buyer that wants to add to their jazz collection but doesn't want to break the bank. And this is one I found on Amazon too, and just by chance of this, they also sell music on vinyl records. So I was looking for this for a while. Edwin Birdsong, I knew it got reissued. This was the last one on Amazon. I saw they had one left. Bought it, got it the next day, and I've spun this thing probably more than any other record I've gotten in the last year. I love it. So I'm very happy with it. And yeah, it came fine and it sounds great. So a little music on vinyl, Edwin Birdsong off Amazon. So you never know what you can find on there. Save yourself a little money, get some free shipping, and get a nice record. Should I keep going? Or you have a comment on that?
No, I mean, I don't mind Amazon. The only reason why I stopped using them is I get to a point where like I don't need it the day it comes out. The one thing I liked about Amazon was like if it's out on Friday, it's at my house by 5 o'clock Friday.
Right.
So I don't use them as much. And for a while there, I was not pleased with some of the condition I was getting the records in. Another pro tip about Amazon too is I'm notorious for buying box sets, which is a shitty habit. Takes up a lot of space and they're not really worth it sometimes, but I like to have them. And they package their box sets pretty well, sometimes better than like ordering directly from like Universal or something like that. You know, the only people that package box sets better are like Acoustic Sounds or Mike from the In-Groove. So that's another plus there as well.
Yeah.
And one other thing, do not, okay, so I've learned this the hard way. I don't know if you've experienced this, Spins. I'm sorry to cut you off. If you're going to order a record from Amazon and you have to order other things, do not place the order together, because the record will come in the box with everything else a lot of times, even though it's in its own little mailer. And B, like, order the record when you know it's going to get delivered tomorrow, and then order the rest of your stuff like later in the day so the shipments come separately. Otherwise, you just run into that. I've gotten like a record and then like a case of like energy drinks are on top of it. I'm like, what is going on here? You know? So
yeah,
that's another pro tip if you're going to order off Amazon.
Yep, that's a good one. Living in Australia, Amazon is a no-brainer for Blue Notes, especially with the return policy. Absolutely, says Perfect Prescription. Tap Records, another good Edwin Birdsong album, is fantastic. And on South Soul, it has Rapper Dapper Snapper on it. Dude, I love it. I've heard it, and I've been spinning those on Spotify. That one, and that there's like 2 other Birdsongs I really want. One's pricier, but one's not. They're actually fair. I just need to get around to pulling the trigger on them. But yeah, thank you. Yeah, those I am a massive fan of Edwin Birdsong now. Who knew? I didn't even know he existed until last year when I got that one. But I'm all in on Edwin Birdsong for sure.
Hey Spins, we got to get Tap Records on a live stream one of these days. I feel like he'd be a lot of fun to converse with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll reach out to you, Tap. We get something like that done. That'd be fun. Here's another one that I would say was, I don't know, again, calling it a grail. I know I'm very liberal with that word, but it's like, this is another one that's tough to get, and it's Ramp, Roy Ayers Music Project, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Come Into Knowledge. There's a song off here that was sampled by a Tribe Called Quest. That's how it came to my attention. And when I started listening to this, I was like, this is exactly up my alley. This was made for me. I have to get this. Well, originals. In fact, I passed on. Here's a funny thing. I went for Thanksgiving. We were going out of town, cross country for a week. And so before I was left, I had one I was going to buy, I think on eBay or something, an OG, and it was like $100. And I didn't pull the trigger because I knew it was going to arrive while I was gone. So whatever, I went about my business. And yes, I was thinking about it when I was in Baltimore for Thanksgiving. Got back, of course, someone had bought it. So I've got the FOMO now, right? So I start looking around. I could not find one of these OG for less than like $200-300 suddenly. I was like, oh my gosh. So this is a reissue. So this is a good example of something that I was happy to get a reissue for. I think I paid like $60 for this. So that's part of the story. And of course, I always do my research. You know, I'm always on looking at comments on Discogs and stuff like that, trying to get a sense of what is this going to sound like. And it sounds great. It sounds great in my opinion. The other thing is, I think I paid $60 for this. It was a VG Plus is what they had said it was going to be, a VG Plus. I got it, and it's not VG Plus. Here's the problem. This was cheaper this was about the VG price. So I thought I was getting a deal. I'm like, okay, I'll do 60. That's about what I want to spend for a reissue. And it was a VG, not a VG Plus. I didn't return it because for me to replace it was going to cost me $60 for a VG, or I would have had to pay another 20 for a VG Plus or whatever. I don't mind it. It's nothing. It's just, in fact, it might be cleanable. I have a spin clean. I couldn't really get it to sound much better. Maybe someone had an ultrasonic. They could. It's not scratched. It's not the, repeating ticks or anything like that. But anyway, long story short is I kept it because it's about what I wanted to pay, and I still enjoy it, and it's a reissue. So I didn't, even though I missed the boat on an OG, and again, I don't have to have it. This isn't something I was listening to 30-40 years ago. This is something that I just discovered. So, but yeah, happy to have it in the collection. regardless, but just kind of some of the mental process that goes into some of this stuff, right? I mean, might be helpful for people.
If you want to send that to me, Spins, I'll clean it for you.
Maybe I
Not a
will do that because
problem.
I'd be curious to know if it can sound better.
Yeah, if you want to, it'll take me, depending how many you send, it won't take me long. But if you want to send me a few that you want cleaned up, I'd be happy to do it for you.
Cool. I appreciate that. Tap Records. If you like Ramp, also keep your eye out for Roy Ayers Ubiquity albums. I've been so busy, I haven't gone down that rabbit hole yet. But man, now you got the bug in my ear. That happens, and I wanna investigate Roy Ayers because I got a feeling I'm gonna love that stuff.
Yeah, when I was at WFMU, I had 3 rules: don't buy any jazz because my trip would have been short, and I was looking for Funkadelic and Roy Ayers records, and there was like 3 tables I went to, and I was like, "Do you have Roy Ayers?" And they're like, "I had 3 copies of this, this, and this, but they all went." Next table
Yeah.
I went to like 20 minutes later, "You have any Roy Ayers?" Like, I just sold my only copy. Next, it's like I guess everybody was looking for him, but that was one of my goals.
I refuse to kind of believe that I have enough influence that by showing this record, people will go out and buy it. But I will also say this: I saw this on Amazon, and it could be someone it's here now. I don't know. Did anyone in the chat show this on Amazon? Because I saw it and I had to go sample it, and then I was going to go buy it. So it's amazing what just a simple post or a video can do. And like I said, this went from 100 to like $200 to $300. I'm not saying it was because of that post, but you show something and you say it's good, and next thing you know, people are hunting for it, and it can, I don't want to say it could be a negative, but if you're looking for it, it could be tough.
You ever heard there's so many great Roy Ayers tunes, but have you heard
Yeah.
Searchin' before? The melodies on Searchin' or
No, I'd have
oh
to.
my god.
I couldn't tell you
Yeah,
just from hearing the title, but I have to go hear it.
and you gotta listen to it in headphones the first time you listen to it, because but there's so much good Roy Ayers out there.
Lovell saying, same here. I was looking for Roy Brooks Free Slave OG on Muse and settled on the reissue. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Keep going. I want to get through these. Are we gonna what do you reckon? Are we gonna play a game after this? Or are you
If Tokyo sticks around, because I don't know how many other people are interested in Phish that are in the chat. If Tokyo's around, I'll do it.
all right, Tokyo? If you're still out there, it's all on you whether we do this game or we're gonna do a Phish game at the end. Local stores. Okay, let's get into that a little bit. Local stores. I probably supposedly, if you look it up online, and I don't know if everybody gets this when they search it, but if it's like confirmation bias or not, but supposedly Portland, Oregon has like the most record stores per capita. And I can't see how that's false information. We have a ton of record stores. There are millions of records out here. And even some of the big ones I'll go to, and I can walk out with nothing, because for whatever reason, I'm not looking for it. I already have it. I mean, it's too expensive, whatever. But I will dig, and sometimes you pick something up. It can be the smallest things. I'm going to show 2 things that are not overly impressive, but sometimes, and this is part of my tip, is sometimes you just got to take what they give you, right? And so when you go to your local, here's Peter Murphy Love Hysteria, an OG. This was $4, and it's in great condition. I wish it was the album Deep, which is much more pricey than this one is. But for $4, I'll take that all day long. So I'll go to a record store local here. And of course, it's easy to get kind of wowed by all the stuff there. And sometimes we might even feel compelled to just buy something because you've been, walking around for an hour. But occasionally something will just pop up. And I try to be sensible and say, okay, am I just buying this because I don't want to leave with anything? Or am I buying this because I want it? In this case, it's Peter Murphy. I love Peter Murphy, lead singer from the Bauhaus as well. Went on to have a real nice solo career. And this is one of my favorites. So picked it up for $4. And then another one I picked up recently was Rush's debut record. This isn't an OG, but it is a 70s reissue. And it sounds great. I didn't have this one. I love Rush. It was like same thing. It was like another $4 or $5. Sometimes you could, I hate to put it this way, but sometimes you can catch people slipping, especially if like a bigger record store, like some of the ones we have out here that actually has used. they actually have a ton of new. So they do a lot of reissues now. So maybe they're not always pricing their older stuff accordingly, and occasionally you can find I don't know, I wouldn't call that a diamond in the rough, but you can find something for a nice price that you can walk out of there with. So that's what I try to do. You know, I still go in there and try to find stuff like that, because most time I can find at least one thing that is something I want, I'm going to want to listen to, and it's going to be, you know, cheaper than anywhere else I can get it. I'm already there. I don't have to pay shipping, you know, let's just grab it.
Yeah, I used to be like that whenever I went to a record store. I feel like I had to walk out with something. Now, oftentimes I will, believe it or not, and people have to check my temperature, but there are oftentimes I will walk by a record store and just not go in because I don't have enough time.
Right.
I hate not being able to touch everything and go through everything, or I'd rather not be in a record store than be in a record store for 10 minutes.
Yep.
Does that make sense? I know it sounds.
Yeah, no, because you're going to be constantly thinking like, okay, what did I miss in there? You know, it's like this whole, I absolutely understand what you're saying. Lavelle has an OG deep. Nice. Yeah, that's on my list. I got to get the, you know, I was gonna say the trifecta, but those are really the two. I got to get deep next. Well, let me show this, because this is an example of going to a record store, maybe spending hours going to multiple record stores and not finding something. And I went to this record store, and they're pretty well known, and a lot of the stuff wasn't in great condition, but I needed this. I love the English beat. I had the other two, and then there's the third one that I didn't have, Wappin. And I took it home, and it skips. So it's almost to just like, someone was just telling me, dude, don't just buy a record because you feel like you have to. It was almost a lesson. It's a weird thing, but I almost feel like it was a lesson. So, you know, I need to get another copy of this. I love it. It's skip. And it's not one of those, it's a repeating skip. So you have to like get up and all that stuff. I can't live with that. So I still have it just because, you know, whatever. I got to flesh out the English beat collection until I can, but I'm not going to listen to it until I get another one. So anyway, an example of feeling like, you know, wow, I've been walking around this store for hours. I'm just going to pull the trigger on something.
You didn't put a penny on your stylus and see if that helped.
Yeah, no pennies on the stylus. I told a story about the penny stylus thing, which irritates me to this day. I don't want to irritate myself, so I'm not even going to bring it up.
All right, sorry.
Another thing is, and again, this is, again, just to kind of go through as many different things, different variables I can think of. And sometimes, again, this goes back to just, you go to a record store, take what they give you. And sometimes it might not even be something that's on my radar at all. I want to know how many people in chat can relate to this song. And Wyoming Dave, this is Anthrax. This is the 12-inch single of I'm the Man. Does anybody remember this? Anthrax Goes Hip Hop. I saw that and I was like, I hadn't thought about this record in decades. And I was like, oh my God, I have to have that. It has the hype on it and stuff. Who remembers I'm the Man by Anthrax? It was big when it first came out. And now I don't think it's anyone even, I don't know. I don't think anyone even talks about it anymore, but this was a big deal back in the day. Anthrax, I'm the Man. We're going to say, what does he say? I'm so something, I should be in detention. Anyways. Another thing is the Holy Moly wall, right? Holy Moly wall. We all know it as, you know, you go to a record store, there's always some fancy stuff hanging up behind the counter. Oftentimes, again, similar to Chris in this regard, like I'm not out there trying to get grails necessarily, and I want to make sure I'm being thoughtful. But here's my lesson with the Holy Moly wall is, you kind of have to strike while the getting's good, because man, I have missed stuff. Rojas just talked about one with a Beck record he just picked up where it's like, and similar to me, like I actually bought what I was going to buy. I went to check out. I look up and this is behind the counter and I go, can I see that new order? It was like $70, which is a good price because, as it turns out, this is an original UK press. And it has one of the inner sleeves. For some reason, it only has one, but I'm good with it. So $70, I'm like, I even asked him, could you take a little less on that? He's like, yeah, we just got that and all of this. So, okay. I go out to the car because I'm going to show self-control. it took about 2 minutes of sitting in the car to get back out and go drop my 70, flipping around on Discogs and eBay. This is going to go upwards of that. So I'm thought, you know what? Yeah, I wasn't expecting to spend $70 today, but I want this. I love it. And I'm just going to have to pay 100 for it later. I might as well just get it now. So, and that's a lesson learned from just, like you got to know when to be patient and when to pull the trigger. I don't know what that barometer is. I'm not saying I know when to be right. It's just, you hate being wrong. So I had to snag that one.
One of my locals is a big record store day store. They do such a good job. And one of their big draws on record store day is that they refill their Grail wall. And people wait online, not for the record store day purchases, but to get a shot at the wall. And it's really cool how they do it. And they hype it up for several weeks before. So yeah, you got to pay attention to the Grail wall. I've looked at the Grail wall. Actually, it's the first thing I look at a record store when I go in, no matter what, even though I might not be searching. It kind of gives me a barometer of what I'm going to see. And then I go right to the just in bin. And then I can usually judge a store if I'm going to spend time in it just by that. And you know what? The other pro tip is you got to make friends with your locals.
That's a good tip.
You have to socialize with them if they're open to it, unless it's like, high fidelity situation. And that actually, it's even better if you're friends with them. But it's good to have network, because a couple of my locals, one where when I was in the office a lot more, I was very cool with the owner, and like, she saved a couple of things for me. Like, she would post her new arrivals every day when they opened, and I used to block out my calendar for lunch, and I'd call her and be like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. She's like, I'll give you 20, but then I can't hold it, like joking with me.
Yeah.
And then like I have a good network with one of my locals. Like, I'll reach out if I'm looking for something, if I don't see it, or if they have a lead on it. So it's good to network, but you got to do the right thing. You got to support them enough to get kind of earn
That's
that and be respectful. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head, man. I just don't go enough, You made me think of something. Now I can't remember what I was going to say, but yeah, no, that's a great tip, man. Perfect prescription. I have found having a strict budget helps regulate the quality of my purchase. Yeah, exactly. I'm going through a phase where I'm just not going to overpay for something. I'm just not going to FOMO out. I'm going to take things as they come. I'm going to be happy with what I have. So that's been my New Year's resolution, and so far so good. And then Tap says, "Oh snap, it's worth that." I'm not going to tell you about my Goodwill find. Don't want to brag. Oh man, let me guess. $1.99, $2.99 for the new order substance. Record store day. So I don't go crazy. 1 year, I think the first year I started on YouTube, I bought like 3 records. And I was happy to, because they had some really nice jazz stuff. This was one of them. And this is Eric Dolphy Musical Prophet. What's cool about this is that they basically reissued Conversations and Iron Man, just 2 regular issue records of his. It just happened I didn't have those. And even though I had a bunch of his other stuff, I didn't have those. The record store day is special because not only do they bundle those, but then they give you a bunch of previously unissued, basically alternate takes on a 3rd LP. And this sounds good. It sounds really good. So it ended up being a bargain. Sometimes these things can be pricey because they're special or whatever, but I like how they did this one. Again, it worked out for me because it just happened I didn't have Conversations or Iron Man. And so this is the way I have it. You know what I mean? And now, again, if I was a different kind of buyer, I would have to have those records separate, right? Either originals or reissues. And, if they would look nice with all my other ones, but you know what? It's fine. If I'm here for the music, you know what I mean? So I love having it this way. I'm really happy that they reissued it that way. So again, I don't know if that's a pro tip, but in some cases, record store day can be clutch, maybe for that reissue that you're looking for and haven't been able to find, or, some alternate stuff. This was kind of a perfect storm because I got to pick up, really 2 records that I would easily have bought anyway. And it comes with the alternate tracks on LP3. So, yeah. Oh, there we go.
So this, what's so cool about this, and it doesn't matter, it's the same thing, but they reissued the one you got to reissue.
That's
it's like
right. Yeah.
Times. But this is an awesome set, and if this is it's still pricey on the secondary market, but there's a CD version of it too if anybody's looking for it. But I love this set.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
I think also
I mean, you get Bobby Hutcherson. Bobby Hutcherson's all over those records. So
yeah, I never heard of Bobby Hutcherson. I'm just kidding.
Until I came into your life.
No.
You've heard of him now.
The other thing is, I'm sorry if I'm interrupting your flow here, but the other record store day thing that you have to be patient there because a lot of that stuff just is going to get repressed within the year or two. And I used to buy a lot on record store day, and sometimes I don't buy anything. It really is title dependent. But yeah, I learned that, like, oh my God, I got to go get this, thing that's coming out. And then like 2 months later, it's a reissue, just not on colored vinyl, which is even better.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold out and get the black wax for sure. The last thing for me is just, I've been seeing this a lot. I don't know. Either I was seeing it before and I wasn't aware of it, or people are just starting to use this, this phrase is cheap heat. And so a lot of the stuff I like is cheap heat. I take advantage of it. It's a great way to get OGs. I'm just going to flash a few. I have to have OGs of these because I grew up with all this stuff. And this one's B-52's whammy. I have all original B-52s. They're not pricey. I have all original Devo. This one even has the 7-inch, working in a coal mine, and the poster and stuff. It's not that bad. Course, I love my Journey originals of their stuff. They were printed in such mass quantity that you can grab all this stuff for really fair prices. So cheap heat is a good thing to look out for. If you're someone that has some experience, you probably know that. But if you're someone that is used to just buying a lot of these reissues that are coming out, you're going to spend $30-$40 on a reissue that you could go pick up for $10, $15, $20 an original for it. So that's another thing to just be aware of is even on record store day, is to look and see like, hey man, I want this record, but can I get the original for cheaper? Oftentimes you can, depending on the era, depending on the band, and just how many times, looking at a lot of these records were just printed in massive quantities. So they're easy to pick up. So yeah, that's kind of the last thing I got on that, Chris.
I have a question for Terry Tap Records. He says the Trap Called Quest got a lot of people into Eric Dolphy. Sky Pager, is that what sampled Dolphy?
I wasn't even aware they sampled Dolphy. Yeah.
I could be wrong about that.
Whammy Dave, cool. My copy of New Traditionalist has the bonus single on the poster too. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the way to have it. I used to have New Traditionalist, the picture disc. And it's like the spaceman with the helmet and everything, and don't have it anymore. But back in the day, I did.
I still got it.
There you go. You were right.
I still got it, man.
You still got it, baby.
I used to live for that. Actually, that's how. I think we talked about this when we were doing our jazz show. If it wasn't for Tribe, I would not have found jazz as quickly as I did. Not Dolphy. I didn't find Dolphy through Tribe, but so many other things.
I was just listening to Tribe before the show, actually. Well, then I put on this Prince record, but yeah, I love Tribe.
I would say like not 4 or 5 days goes by in my life since I'm like 13 or 14 that I don't put a Tribe song or songs on.
Yeah, they're just too good.
Yeah,
you can always vibe out. If you have a good size want list on Discogs, you can create a cheap heat want lister that you set the dollar and quality and buyer percent and have it email you the cheap heat every. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. I did a whole video on this about like deleting your Discogs want list. I don't actually have a Discogs want list. What I have is a cart. So I'll add records to my cart. And even if that record gets purchased, it goes to the top, right? And it'll gives you an alert saying this record was purchased. I keep it there. Why do I do that? Because want lists affect the price. And so if there's like 50 people that want something, guess what? That's driving demand up, and then people price accordingly. Now, look, I sell records too, so I get it. But as a buyer, I'm sort of like, I'm not going to give anybody any more, fuel to raise the price on me. I'm not going to have a Discogs want list. And so I don't. That's why it's kind of maybe a superstitious or whatever it is. But your point is well taken still. It's funny because I did a video on it. Let's see. Psycho Platters, what's up? Don't go anywhere. We might be playing a game here. Devo originals make a lot of sense. Yeah. Tribe and Gangstar got me into jazz. That's cool, LaBelle. If you're familiar with Saphir, he sampled Eric Dolphy a lot. Light Sleeper. Okay. I'll check that out.
Wonder, maybe Tap Records knows this. Did Dilla ever sample something like Dolphy? I'm sure he probably did, and it's hard to recognize. But I actually got to reread that book.
I wonder if I would be able to recognize it. Now I want to hear this stuff because I want to see if it's a lick that I would recognize.
Yeah. The best 99 cents I ever spent in my life. This is I don't think it even. I don't know if it costs anything anymore. But when the Who Sampled app first got issued on like an Android or an iPhone, I had it, and it was like heaven because it also doesn't also give you samples. It gives you cover versions of the song. It's pretty amazing. It's a website too, but it's nice to have it at your fingertips when you're in a store or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when it comes to that stuff. Yeah, sampling, it can go both ways, right? If you were around for the originals, then you hear it and you notice what it's from. And I've had that. But then other times, yeah, I was influenced by, especially Tribe, their use of samples and stuff like that. They're just the master of it.
Did you see the Sly documentary yet on Hulu?
I've not seen it yet. No.
So there's a part where Jimmy Jam talks about sampling something for a pretty big hit record, and my wife and I were watching it. And she's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Oh, I've let you down if I've never told you that. Like, I'm sorry."
That's funny.
Like, my bad.
Hey, you got her. She's into it at least. You know what I mean? If she's giving you the really, I mean, that's a good sign.
Well, yeah, and it's like one of her. She doesn't have like a lot of favorite artists, but there's this one artist. I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen the documentary, but there's one artist like when Phish comes on XM, she wants to change the channel, but there's a couple artists where we're both like, oh yeah, like, and it immediately gets turned up. So
nice. Yeah, I got to see that. I want to see the Led Zeppelin movie too. It's so tough, man. I just trying to find the time and stuff, but I want to see that stuff.
You know how I feel about Zeppelin.
Yeah, I know. They're no Bob Dylan.
Overrated. No, I'll see it. I'll probably see it when it's on the couch,
I can't even, I'm not going to comment on your overrated thing.
We speaking of documentaries, we need a Soul Aquarians documentary.
I mean, I look at.
Oh, there you go. Is that your overrated wall?
That's my overrated wall.
Minus Dolphy. I'm just kidding.
The Sly documentary is good, says Tap. I know I'm going to love it. I love watching Sly stuff. I mean, I've already, anytime you go down the rabbit holes of interviews on YouTube and stuff, and he's so damn cool. And
even though I'm still very pretentious, when I was even more pretentious, I used to have this joke where people would say Beatles are the Stones, and I would say Sly. And like 1 out of 5 people would be like, "Oh, I get it,"
and not be wrong.
Most people would be like, "What?"
Yeah, it's funny. I go through my phases, man. My dad and I used to have these kind of discussions all the time, and it'd be like he turned me on to so much music. The reason I love music like I do is, because I grew up with parents that love this stuff. And I remember listening to, one story I've told is I listened to, the Led Zeppelin I heard was all through, I don't know, osmosis by chance. By other people would play it, or I'd hear it on the radio, or I'd be somewhere and heard it, but never owned a record, a CD, nothing. Never made an effort to seek out their music. You just hear it around, right? So one day I'm sitting around working, and I just, at home, and I don't know what I want to hear. And I go, I'm just going to put on the Led Zeppelin discography on like whatever the streaming service was at that time, and chronological order, every Zeppelin album. And as soon as the last song faded out, I pick up the one to call my dad, and I go, I think Led Zeppelin's the greatest rock and roll band of all time. I just heard, and the thing is, half of it I probably recognized from listening, hearing it over the years, but I was just like, it's so good. But then I would have the same thing where I'd call them up. I just listened to a bunch of Beatles, and I would be like, Beatles just did it better. They just did it better. He would argue that he loved the Beatles, but he was more of Stones. He loved country. He loved the Bay Area bands, Country Joe and Big Brother, and of course Hendrix, and I don't know, all that kind of stuff there. But he wasn't into like the polish per se. He liked more like the raw music, which I get.
Yeah.
I do too. And so when I made a statement like the Beatles just their recordings are just so freaking great, he was like, nah.
Yeah, like I joke about the Led Zeppelin thing. It's like I have all their albums and I do like Led Zeppelin. I think I'm at a point, and I got like this with the Doors for a long time, and I got like this with everything, I guess, basically. But like I'm not interested in like hearing them for a very long time. It's
Yeah.
like my Bill Evans story. When I was a kid and younger, I was like Bill Evans, I was like obsessed. And then like I literally didn't listen to Bill Evans for probably 15 or 20 years.
Yeah.
And just recently I'm like back on the horse, like hardcore. Like I'd hear a Bill Evans, like a Bill Evans solo. I know he's on a lot of stuff that I listen to, but like I'll hear like a Bill Evans solo song and I'm like, I can't hear it anymore. I just can't do it. So I'm sure Zeppelin will come back around.
Yeah.
Maybe like a midlife crisis or something. I don't know.
That's how music is, right? You can love
Yeah.
it and still not listen to it for a long time, and then eventually you go back to it, and it's just as great as ever.
Except for the Eagles, man. I hate the Eagles.
Come on, man. I get it. I mean, I have my bands too, Phish, that
Yeah.
I just can't listen to. But no, I wish we could have finished that video, man. I had so much more to say last week when I got so rudely disconnected because of the storm. You got time for a game? This is just for
Yeah.
you. We got Phish. I know our guy Tokyo's not in the house, I don't think now, but
Wait. I just want to say one thing to Tap. So he
okay.
says, I have an alternate CD version of Fresh by Sly Stone. I need that. Every song except the first track. So I want to interrupt his statement there. So Tap, top 5 opening tracks of all time on any album in time on Sly and the Family Stone is just freaking amazing. So I'm pissed that it's not on this, but I have to find this. So every
Sly
song is
accidentally sent
every
that
song
to
except
the
the
wrong
first track is an
master.
alternate version. So it's
That's
not an alternate
cool.
version. Oh, I gotta see. Is that on? I wonder if that's on YouTube or somebody has it on. I could download. I'd like to hear that.
That's interesting.
But In Time is top 5 opening tracks ever, my opinion.
Yeah.
So good.
I have 2 Sly shirts that I usually custom make a lot of my shirts and stuff, and so I get them printed at like T Public, and so I
Oh,
had a
I know
couple.
them.
Yeah, I did a couple Sly ones, but the problem is that sometimes it's the ink color or whatever the material you put it on, it washes off. I've had them where they lasted years, but both my Sly ones are so messed up. I don't wear them on camera anymore because they're too ratted. I need some more Sly in my life though, man. Um, let's see. I think I can get this game going. Let me. How do I get the copy shareable link? Are you good with this, dude? We can jam through this if you want to.
Yeah, I have some time, and I'm going to bed.
All right, I'm pasting the link, guys. If you guys know, we do these games on occasion where we like to play a little Would You Rather. And so we have a Phish edition here. Might be fun, even if you're not a big Phish head. Might still be fun. Chris is safe to say. Chris is Phish is your favorite band, Chris.
Yeah, without hesitation.
Boom. More than the Grateful Dead. More than Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
I mean, one of one. Phish. I'll paste it again one more time. You might click on that link. It's good, guys. Couple things. If you have multiple devices or another tab or something like that, so you can bounce back and forth, play the game at the same time as you're watching the stream and stuff. I'll show the leaderboards. The way you get points is you answer on the right side of the vote. So in other words, you want to be with the majority. They give you extra points for being part of the majority. And speed is a factor too. They give you extra points for speed. If you've clicked on it, which I hope you have, you might not see anything yet. I need to go here and actually get it started.
It says host or copy shareable link. Should I?
Oh, is that what that says? Copy shareable link. Is that? Oh, maybe I can give you guys the wrong thing. Please hold. Yeah, it's weird. It looks a little different than it usually looks. Okay. Would you rather Phish Heads Edition share? Is it not share? Okay, hang on. Okay, sorry. I gave you guys the wrong thing. Here we go. I hope that doesn't break the game. Someone's going to hack into our game.
Sorry, Tap Records and I are off on a little bit of a tangent while you're doing this. So Tap, I can certainly send you stuff. But if you go on YouTube, and I think this is more fun, go on YouTube and just search like Phish reaction videos and people never listening to them and reacting to it. It's hysterical. But I could also send you some stuff if you want. No problem.
Yeah, I can. I don't know why I can never get away with playing music without having my video blocked. Actually, I played a little bit last Friday. I played some jazz of a new record that just came out from Blue Note, and they demonetized it, but at least they left the video up. So I don't know. Maybe we can get away with playing small samples of stuff. But we've essentially had a reaction video last week that Chris and I did. It just wasn't. We weren't listening live or anything. Okay, so that's the link, guys. I just pasted it a few different times. Click on that link if you want to play the game. These are always fun. Let me click host. If for some reason you click it and you're not in the right place or something, it doesn't work for you, usually backing out and trying again works. Are you in, Chris?
I'm ready, man.
You're ready. Okay, I'm gonna hit start. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You can join after the after we start the game too. You do lose points if you don't get these questions answered. I should give you guys another minute. Click on that link. If you don't want to click on the link, or if you can't play for any reason, feel free to put your answers in the chat. I can't give you points. That's the only problem. All right, here we go. I'm gonna hit start. There we go. I see Deshaun. We got Groove Seeker. We got Tap Records. Welcome everybody. Jump in on that. It's always fun when there's more people playing. So if you guys want to play, this will be fun. Here we go. Start. Again, try to have a second screen if you can. Oh, what am I doing? Let me present the screen so you guys can see it for those that aren't playing. There we go. All right. You guys should see something momentarily. Questions appear on the screen. I guys told you how it's how you get points. You got to be on the correct side of the answer, the vote with the majority, and you got to vote quickly. Let's go, Chris. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Chris, would you rather own every OG Phish album, but they're all warped and in VG condition, or own their most expensive OG in minty fresh condition? You have had success de-warping records. Am I correct there?
Yes, this is a controversial question and comment.
Of course it is.
If I didn't have any of their studio albums, I wouldn't lose any sleep. But I still put an answer in of what I'd prefer.
Okay. Well, what'd you say?
Own their most expensive OG in minty fresh condition.
Okay. What is their most expensive OG? Do you know the price offhand?
I think it's probably Lawn Boy, and it's probably several hundred.
Do you have a copy?
I have a reissue.
Gotcha.
I don't really listen to a lot of their studio stuff.
Once everyone votes, this just continues by itself, but I don't want to keep Chris waiting, so I'm going to hit the end round button. Get your answers in if you can, guys. Oh, see, all four. So you guys all got points. Own their most expensive OG in minty fresh condition. Let's check the leaderboard. Deshaun, Andy, Tap, Groove Seeker. All right. Would you rather? It helps if there's not typos. Be the only Phish head and enjoy new shows and albums for the rest of your life. In other words, you have no Phish friends. Or everyone on the planet loves Phish, but they never perform or create an album again. Are you social beast, Chris? Or are you a greedy little you know what? And you got to have those Phish concerts.
Well, I don't really have a lot of friends that like them, so I'm already used to
Most
Answer
Phish
one.
fans are used to this already.
Well, one of my best friends, yes. My brother-in-law, yes. And then my other longtime best friend, through osmosis, through me, will go to shows with me, but I can't say he listens to them all the time.
Oh, so you're okay with those guys not being Phish fans anymore, huh?
Yeah, that's their loss. As long as I get my fix.
Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna
True
end it, guys.
confessions of a Phish junkie.
Oh, it's even 2-2. We're split. We're split. I don't know what happens with the points in that situation, but I'm assuming you get some points. All right. Next up, there's our leaderboard, guys. You guys can still jump in on this. If you see the limit, I'll paste the link one more time for you if you're just joining, or if you have a hard time getting in there. Would you rather sit front row during a rain-soaked Phish performance, Chris, or sit in a V-Pie suite nice and cozy in the nosebleeds? Are you a comfort person, or do you like to be up there and, braving the weather?
I am a comfort person. I'm a little bougie because I'm from New York and get to go to the garden all the time, but I have been very close in the rain, and it was one of the best shows I've ever been to, and it's on DVD actually. So I would sit with the front row, rain-soaked
Oh,
performance.
nice. Do you show up in the DVD at all, or?
Yeah, there's this. I'm in a yellow jacket, and they pan through the back of GA. You can see me and my friends, but that's about it.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, here we go, guys. Are you sitting in the rain in front row, or are you back on the nosebleeds nice and cozy? Again, split the vote. There's your leaderboard. Groove Seeker, you're slipping. You're right there, though. Okay, would you rather own every Phish album on colored vinyl, Chris, or own a Phish picture disc limited to a quantity of 100? What is the lesser of the evils?
I think I own everything on colored vinyl because they only reissue it on colored vinyl, and I'd probably go skeet shooting with the picture disc.
Which could be fun. All right, so get your votes in. You want to own every Phish album on colored vinyl, or just that one coveted picture disc? I'm going to end the
Thrown for a
round.
loop here. I thought you were going to be like, do you prefer 11/7/97 or 6/17/2004? Like, which set list do
If
you
I'm being
like
honest, when I was putting this together, I don't think I was that awake to do that research.
Well, I'm sweating less.
Okay. All four said, give me that colored wax. Ooh, Groove Seeker climbing the leaderboard. Would you rather choose the set list for one of their shows or uncover a rare bootleg recording of an unforgettable Phish moment, Chris? Come on, this has to be a tough one.
It's definitely. I would love to choose a set list if they'd let me, because I don't think there's anything that hasn't been unearthed.
Okay, it's probably true. It's like saying that about the Grateful Dead, right? It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're not
It's
suddenly
all
gonna
out
get
there.
some show that we didn't know about.
They've monetized it, and it's all out there. I mean, I'm sure there's some stuff maybe from the 80s or maybe like private shows or something like that people would want to hear that might have legend to them, but
Yeah.
not that I can really recall off the top of my head.
All right, here we go, guys. Get your answers in. Wow, we are split. That's like the last three, I think. Groove Seeker slipping once again, but the leaderboard is tight. It's tight. All right, would you rather spend a weekend immersed in a multi-day Phish festival, Chris, or attend a Phish rehearsal? By the way, have you actually had one of these experiences before?
All right, I'm gonna choose one and to give some context. So I've not I was going to 2004 Coventry, but a lot of us got turned away because of the weather. But Phish does put on their own festival once every few years. They don't rehearse. The show's a rehearsal, but I would still like to see them like pre-show, like what they go through, and kind of be a fly on the wall for that. That would be really cool.
3 people picked
Maybe
rehearsal.
they rehearse a little bit. I lied. I'm sure they pick stuff up once in a while, but not like they used to.
All right, next round. Would you rather go to a Phish festival or an Emilio Estevez Festivez? All right. Would you rather play Guitar Hero against Trey Anastasia, Chris, or have a Phish live virtual reality experience?
What does the second one mean?
I mean, just
I
say
have like those
you're at a
goggles on.
concert. Yeah, you got the goggles on. You're weaving through the band. You're sitting there watching, Trey's fingers pluck those strings ever so closely and gently.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the VR because Trey doesn't play Guitar Hero; he plays Guitar God. So I don't know if
That's good. All right, here we go, guys. Wow, split again. Maybe that I don't know. Do we have Phish fans out there? Is this just by virtue of the fact that we don't have a lot of Phish love?
I think so.
People are just
I think so.
randomly clicking. All right, here we go, guys. Tap Records and Deshaun right up there. All right, would you rather sit front row at a Phish show in their prime, Chris, or
Oh,
sit front row at a Dead show in their prime? There is only one right answer.
I choose the Prime.
Yeah, you choose the prime. Absolutely. I know he wants to go see Jerry. Think of it, Chris. Just think of it. You can jump in that time machine, 1977, 72. You want to go back to the roots? Maybe it's 1968. Maybe you're at the acid test with Jerry. Have you picked yet?
Yeah,
Okay. Here we go, guys.
I
Split. Which one did you
picked,
say?
I picked the Dead
Ah, that's my boy.
because I've seen Phish so many times.
I guess we do have some Phish heads. All right, we got about 4 to go, I think, here, guys. Would you rather be a Phish head or be a deadhead?
Well, Phish fans never crash the gate, so
Any spinners at a Phish show, Chris? Do we
yeah,
yeah?
yes. There's a lot of cultural overlap of stereotypical personality types, with a new twist, maybe. Yeah, there are people that find their section in GA or wherever and just get lost. It's cool. It's different. It's not
If
as I
you're
don't think it's as intense as a Dead show, but there is groups of that.
if you're on the grass, you've got the one person who's like dancing, making sure they cover every inch of the lawn, jumping over
Yeah.
people and blowing bubbles, and yeah.
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing.
That's what I miss about Grateful Dead shows.
That's the thing. Like, if you're on the lawn for sure, or if you're the back of GA, but then also you get like the aisle spinners, depending on the venue, or like
The aisle spinners.
the corridor spinners.
I didn't even consider that.
Yeah.
Well, we are split on so many of these. Okay. Would you rather work as a roadie for a day, Chris, or live a day on the Phish tour bus? You gonna lift those speakers and the gear, or are you just good chilling in the bus?
Is it like any time of their career on the tour bus, or like now?
You pick.
All right, I'm gonna say tour bus, like in a different era though, because now I feel like they're like on the verge of grandfather, So it's like they're not as we're not gonna push the limits right now, if you get what I'm saying.
Okay.
Trey's been out of rehab since 2007 or 8. So I mean, what are we gonna do? Play chess?
Oh, so
Although,
you trying to hang out with Phish pre-rehab, you're saying?
yeah, I'm trying to hang out like, maybe there's mushrooms in the tea, maybe there's not. We're not sure. But also at the same time, it would be interesting to be on well, they're probably all take separate buses now. But like it would be cool to be like, Trey, what are you listening to?
Yeah.
And then have him just like spill like what he's into.
Well, you already know what he's gonna say. The Grateful Dead.
Maybe.
All right. Yeah, okay. You got a couple other people with you in that bus. All right. Couple more left, guys. Would you rather hear a Frank Zappa tribute Phish album or hear a Grateful Dead
Oh,
tribute Phish
this
album?
is a great question.
Finally, a good question, he says.
No, you've had a couple of really good ones. Are they doing like one Zappa album and one Dead album, or is it just
One
like,
or the other. Yes, they're either gonna
but
do that Frank Zappa tribute or a Grateful Dead tribute.
but is it a compilation of whatever songs, or is it like one specific album?
Oh, I see what you're no, yeah, it'd be you can say it's a compilation, yeah.
Oh
If they pick
man,
their favorite songs by Zappa and perform them or their favorite Dead songs.
is it live or is it in the studio?
You pick. You pick.
Yeah. No, you have to tell me.
It's live, dude. I'm not gonna make you sit
Okay.
there and listen to it. I mean,
Okay.
Phish studio album.
Oh, I picked the wrong one. Fuck.
Oh, you did? Okay, what was
Yeah.
your real answer?
So I would like to hear them do Zappa live
Okay.
because Trey has played with the Dead for the last shows, and they've played with Phil and friends, and they've all sat in like Dead family shows. So like I've kind of got a sense of that. I've only heard them do one Zappa cover, but I know they love Zappa.
Okay. Well, it
So
would have been a tie if you would have picked correctly, but
yeah.
we're
I
heavy
mean,
on
that's
the
a really
Grateful
good
Dead.
question.
Thank you. All right, there's your leaderboard. Last round, guys. Here we go. Would you rather attend a meticulously planned festival with a massive crowd of fans or attend a spontaneous Phish pop-up at an
Oh,
unexpected venue?
pop up, man. I would die to see them in a small club.
Ooh, the Group Seekers
I don't
going.
know if the energy would be the same for them. But I'm at
Maybe
the
it's
point
all
like where
acoustic set.
that would be cool. That would be very cool. But I'm at the point now where I'm so I'm not saying this to cause controversy, but I feel like when like a real jazz head got to see some of these artists and like analyze them when they play. I'm not a musician, but like I tried to explain on the stream last week, there is a lot of intercommunication with the band, and there's a lot of things that the fans pick up on, and I would love to see them in a small place. I don't and if the even if the energy wasn't there, just to see them up close and like eavesdrop on the interaction or the eye contact, be closer to it. Like
Yeah.
I'd have a lot of fun. Like when I go to a show, I'm like very quiet and like dialed in on what they're doing now. Like that's the way I like to see them while everybody else is like going crazy. And sometimes I go crazy too and like have fun and stuff and dance and whatnot. But I would really like this, like to see them in like a small club and just be really close to the stage, like sitting down, like at a table, just like watching them go at it.
Clinking glasses and like, and yeah.
Yeah, like if it, but the only downside is I don't know if the energy would be the same as them playing to like 15,000 people or 20,000 people. I don't know. Maybe it would be. Maybe they would thrive off that because it throws them back to like a younger version of themselves, and they, that would excite them. But like that would be cool to see them in a little venue for sure.
Very cool. Let's see if anyone agrees. Everybody going for the small venue. Here we go, guys. Here's your final leaderboard, which I'm trying to make sure I'm trying to get I'm a little behind, but I'm trying to get these all up on Instagram. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram so you can see, you can prove to everyone, Deshaun, that you slayed out on the Phish game with a score of 2397. Tap Records in second. Andy G, Groove Seeker, David H, bailing out early. That's okay. But there you go. Well, what'd you think, Chris? Was that okay? Did I do all right, at least on that one?
Most of the questions were very good. Some of them were pretty straightforward for me and easier to answer with context.
Yeah.
But some of those were really, like the front row question was tough. Zappa versus Phish is tough. Who would you rather? I think you also said like the Rain versus VIP Suite was a good one. Actually, they were all good.
Well, I love your answers and then your reasoning behind it. It's fun to hear you share that.
Yeah, the vinyl ones was kind of rough because like I just don't listen to their studio stuff if I don't have to, or like not in the, I have to really be in the mood for it. Like the Grateful Dead, with the exception of a couple of albums, like you just prefer the live. So
yeah. I hear you.
That was fun. Man, cool. I'm mad that we didn't get that last week. That would have been cool.
I know. Sorry, kind of out of context this week, guys, but I put the work in, so I figured let's go ahead and do it tonight. Deshaun, Tap Records, Andy G, and our own Groove Seeker. Thanks so much, you guys, for playing. I think I was the only one who picked Zap as his tap. Yeah, I would have been all over that. Well, Groove Seeker picked it in spirit. He misclicked.
Yeah, I misclicked it. So Tap Records, just go on YouTube and look up Phish doing Peaches and Regalia. Amazing. So one PSA here, you guys really have to like and subscribe to the Spins Vinyl channel, because the more subscribers he gets, the more likely he'll be able to buy a generator. So the next time he has a blackout when we're on a live stream, I don't get stranded. And then Rojas and Chance have to come bail me out and pretend that they want to talk about Phish with me.
Yeah, it couldn't have been a better show to black out on, because yeah, you're trying to talk to people who have no idea.
Well, I want to bring this up. And it's okay. I think we're past the statute of limitations here, and I won't hold it against you. Did you really lose power, or were you just done with the show? Like, can you, because there was some thought about this in the second hour of the show when you were gone, and I don't
Yeah,
hold it
there was
against
all
you.
this controversy in the VC, speculation on, did the girlfriend pull the plug?
Yeah.
Did he just bail out?
A-
Yeah,
and
no. For the first time since we've moved here, we've been here like 6 or 7 years, we had an actual power out, and we didn't get power back. Well, they said it wasn't going to come back till 6 a.m. the next morning, which means we would have lost hundreds of dollars of food. Fortunately, about midnight, they got it going again, so we were good.
you know the scene in A Complete Unknown where Dylan's at the festival and Pete Seeger's gonna like axe the power.
Yeah.
This is a breaking news. This is a first time story. My wife actually tried to do that at Madison Square Garden. Like, she tried to get backstage and pull the plug on Phish while they were playing, but she's like, I can't take it anymore.
That's great, dude. Well, she's taking one for the team, man. Yes.
Yeah, she's a trooper.
Good job, wifey. Mr. Rojas chiming in here at the end. I'll tell you the truth. We called Trey and he cut things power. Okay. Probably that. Hey, if Trey was watching, he would have done everything possible to cut the power, man. Hey, I was just starting to warm up, man. I was trying to be for dramatic effect. I was trying to, we were on an arc. It was like a story, we went from, I've never heard Phish, what is this crap, to, you know what? I'm starting to feel something here, Chris. And then boom, power outage. So the world may never know. It's like trying to get to the bottom of a Tootsie Roll Pop. How many licks to get there? We don't know.
There was a lot of winners that night. Since Rojas is here, I said to Rojas, if you join this stream as an attendee, I'll never send you a Phish video again. And I haven't sent him one since.
You haven't sent me one since either.
I did my missionary duties. And I preface this, and I said this in the show, I don't just go around like telling people they should listen to this band. I only suggest it to people who, if I think you have exceptional taste in music, because that's the requirement. You need to have exceptional taste in music to love this band or like them or respect them.
I'm honored.
So, but you both fail. So,
I wasn't lying when I said that third video. I would say this, Chris, if you're going to recommend a video to someone, especially a Zappa head like Tap, link that third one, the one that I was high on, because I think it's very Zappa-like. I think I even asked you later, I said, do you like Hot Rats? And you said yes, because it's very much in that vein. So I was starting to vibe out with that. And if I'm being honest, just to conclude on this, I listened to the two studio records that you sent me to, and actually enjoyed those. I'm not saying I'm going to go out and buy them, but it was better than I had expected. So we're on the first step of that stairway to Phish heaven.
Now that's all you. I mean, if you call me one day, like you called your dad that one time, and you're like, I just listened to Zeppelin's discography in chronological order. If I get that call that you did that for Phish, I'm gonna, number one, ask you if you're.
Will you actually adopt me if I do that?
No, I'm gonna make sure you're okay. I'm gonna send a wellness check to your residence, and I'm gonna say, is this a prank phone call? Those are my first 3 reactions.
You're gonna call me. You're gonna text me and say, "Hey, man, someone spoofed your account. I just got a message from someone claiming to be Spins."
Yeah, I just can't wait till they get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and we do a whole like 3-hour surface noise on the band. It's gonna be amazing.
Well, I've thrown you a couple really nice bones. right? We talked about him on Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We did the whole show last week. We just finished with the Would You Rather. So I don't know, man.
I know. Listen, you're an amazing content producer, and you're appealing to someone who has put a lot of effort to do these shows with you. Not as much effort as you put into, admittedly, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to do a show on Journey. I'm just getting that
I
out
know.
there
Trust me.
now. I'm
I
so
know this is
sorry.
not a reciprocal thing, dude. I'm fully taking one for the team here.
I'm kidding.
What
I'm
am I going to
kidding.
do? Okay, Chris, go listen to Don't Stop Believing. But this time when you're listening to it, have this in your head. This is what you need to be thinking about. Yeah, that's a
So,
tough
so,
sell.
so it's like, Chris, go listen to Don't Stop Believing, but pretend you're not serving 400 drunk people on a Saturday night at 1:30 in the morning while it's on the jukebox, and see if you can see how great they are. And I just don't know if I can disassociate that
When I'm on my
feeling.
deathbed in hopefully 60 years, I'm gonna get a text from Chris, or it'll be, at that point it'll be like his fully formed body in front of me. What do you call that? Using technology that we'll have at that time, a hologram of Chris will pop up on my hospital in bed and say, "Dude, I just listened to Journey. I love it," and then I can die in peace.
That's great.
All right, my brother. Well, hey, we got through another show, man. That was fun. That was
Amazing.
fun.
That was good.
Appreciate everybody for hanging out, man. Appreciate you guys. Keep your email fired up, because you might be hearing from us soon. Would be great to join forces at some point. Everyone else, thanks for being here. Wyoming Dave, of course. Thanks for playing the game. Deshaun, Tap Records, Andy G. If I'm missing your name, I'm sorry. Psycho Platters came in late. A perfect prescription. Thank you so much. Lavelle, love to have you here as always. Finally getting your name right. Mark Boyd, thank you. Everyone, thank you so much. And I'll be back tomorrow. I'm back here tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow's going to be a fun conversation too. 8 p.m. Central. I'm going to be on with the great Arnaldo, Fidelio's Frequency on YouTube. You know him from that channel and from Service Noise every Thursday, or roughly, when he can make it. So yeah, we're going to have a conversation tomorrow, talk a little bit about his channel and some different things, his collection and all that stuff. So that'll be fun. So I'll see you then. Chris, have a great night, brother.
Rock on, dude. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Like
everyone.
and subscribe.